Welcome back, you beautiful people. This is the story about Naruto accidentally finding a Fūton scroll, and what if Naruto becomes the Wind Lord later. Let's begin. The date was October 10 in the village of Konoha. The day had started out like any other day would. The shinobi went along with their business, and the villagers did their own things. Children laughed in the streets, and the elders tried to tell them how life used to be. However, that all changed when the Kyuubi suddenly appeared in the village. The key to that was suddenly. How did a very large nine-tailed fox sneak up on a village of shinobi? Only two people thought of that and knew the answer. The first was Namikaze Minato, the Yondaime Hokage of the village. However, he couldn't tell anyone else, for he had just sealed the giant beast into his own son. The other was Uzumaki Kushina. She knew how the Kyuubi appeared because she had seen it once before when she was a little girl. As she lay in her hospital bed, she remembered it well, as it destroyed her homeland and left nothing but waste. But her father had killed the one who summoned it. Or, at least, that's what it seemed. Then she saw him. He stood before her dressed in black with pins and bolts in his skin to preserve his life. His left eye was closed while his right was open to reveal his Sharingan. It was him. The man who summoned Kyuubi and Yuzu no Kuni. The man that her father killed along with himself. Uchiha Madara. It took a long time to find you, he said as he sneered at her. I never would have thought to come back home. If you are here to finish what you started, you are too late, said Kushina with no hint of fear. My son is safe. For the moment, replied Madara with an ice-cold smile. He is a helpless baby. Killing him will be a simple matter for me. Kushina then started to laugh, and Madara looked confused. Tell me, what's so funny? You think you have won, but you have lost big time, said Kushina with a grin. Minato has taken your Kyuubi away from you and at the same time made sure you won't kill my son. Impossible, declared Madara. There is no way he could kill the Kyuubi. Whoever said that the Kyuubi is dead, said Kushina. Minato has sealed him into our son. If he dies, the Kyuubi dies as well. And knowing him, Minato placed a few safeguards on the seal so that Naruto will one day be able to control the Kyuubi's power. Madara, having enough of this, raised his hand and slapped her. But she only glared back at him in response as his Sharingan began to change. For this defiance you will suffer forever, he said as space and time began to warp around Kushina. Believe me when I say forever. Where you are going, time has no meaning. You will live forever with the knowledge that I will find a way to get back the Kyuubi. And when I do, I will bring you back so you can watch as I rip it out of your son. Kushina screamed as she was sent into the space and time warp, leaving behind nothing. A few moments later, the hospital doctors came into the room to see what the noise was. Inside, they found nothing. The Hokage was informed of this at once, and Sarutobi ordered a search of the entire village and the outlying villages as well. He knew she wasn't the type of person to abandon her child, and there was no way she could leave since she had just given birth. Minutes turned into hours and hours turned to days, and they found nothing. The Inyazuka clan had their dogs all over the place and found nothing. The Yamanaka clan probed the minds of several doctors and found nothing as well. Every inch of the village was searched, and all they found were a couple of kids smoking. Despite this, Sarutobi never gave up hope. He believed that she was still out there somewhere. Until then, he would watch over Naruto and do his best to fulfill their last wishes. Yet some things are not so easily done. The council and the villagers believed that Naruto was the Kyuubi reborn and screamed for his blood. The shinobi wanted to turn him into a weapon. Sarutobi tried to talk some sense into them, but it went in one ear and out the other. In the end, he was only able to pass a few laws that he thought would help give Naruto a chance with the next generation. Years later, a nameless Chunin entered his apartment after a long mission. He had just gotten back from an escort mission to Yuki no Kuni. While the mission was a bust, he had managed to get his hands on some scrolls. You see, the man they were escorting was a collector of jutsu scrolls and was looking for several new ones to add to his large collection that he always kept with him. Sadly, the local shinobi didn't like that at all. During the confusion, the Chunin was able to grab two random scrolls and make a break for it. The Chunin walked over to his kitchen table and sat down. He then reached into his bag and pulled them out. One had the Suna symbol on it, while the other had the Yuki symbol on it. Deciding to open the Suna one first, he breaks the seal and began to read it. What the hell? He shouted aloud. Inside the scroll were several wind jutsus that were C to B rank. There was a defensive one and two offensive ones. He, on the other hand, was an earth user and had a harder time with jutsus that involved water and wind. Also, he was hoping for something more powerful to impress everyone when he finally took the Jonin exam. He set the scroll down and opened the other. This one held only Hyuga, Kakuryubo Fusetsu, and A-rank jutsu. However, this jutsu used a lot of chakra and his two worst elements. In his frustration, he threw both the scrolls out his window. Meanwhile, a 5-year-old Naruto was outside looking through the trash for food. He had been living on his own for a few weeks since he had been kicked out of the orphanage. He was given a weekly allowance to pay for his own food and stuff, but the villagers would only sell him stuff far worse than the stuff he was looking at now. Plus, they would take every dime he had. Suddenly, he felt something hit him on the head. Two somethings to be precious. Naruto rubbed the top of his head and saw the scrolls. He opened the first one and came to realize something. He didn't know how to read. Picking up both scrolls in his tiny arms, he ran off to the only person who would help him. Sarutobi was in his office with his paperwork when there was a knock on the door. "Come in," he said. A moment later he saw Naruto in a dirty oversized shirt and blue shorts holding two scrolls. "Ah, what can I do for you today, Naruto?" "Aja-san, could you read these scrolls to me?" asked Naruto. "I think they're stories because they have pictures." The Hokage chuckled as he picked up the child and set him on his lap. He then opened the first scroll and then looked over at Naruto, who was staring at him wide-eyed, eager to hear a story. "I'm sorry, but these are jutsu scrolls," said Sarutobi. "Where did you get them?" "I was looking for some food and they fell out of the sky," said Naruto as he waved his hands around. "They hit me on the head and it hurt." "What's a jutsu?" Sarutobi sighed. No matter what he did, life didn't get better for the boy as he had hoped. The children mirrored the actions of the adults and began to hate Naruto for no reason. Even when he gave him his own place, things were difficult for him. Then, a thought entered his head. "Well, Naruto," he said at last. "They are really cool powers that shinobi have." "What?" cried the boy. "That's not fair. I want powers too." "Oh, are you sure?" asked the Hokage innocently. "I mean, there is a lot of work needed to become a shinobi. And, if you work hard enough, you become a Hokage like me." "Really?" asked Naruto. He had seen how people treated the old man for a while. They would bow to him and say nice things. He always had nice clothing and a nice place to stay. He had always wondered why, and if being a shinobi did that, then it might work for him. "Aja-san, I want to become a shinobi." "Well then," said the Hokage, "I'll have to make some arrangements for next year so you can go with other people your age. How does that sound?" The small boy only nodded in response. "Now, do you have any questions?" "Ah, what kind of jutsus are on these scrolls?" asked the boy. "Well, this scroll here has Fūton jutsus and this one over here has a Hyuga," said Sarutobi. "Fūton jutsus are jutsus that use the wind while Hyuga jutsus use ice." "I think I can understand the ice, Aja-san," said Naruto as he remembered being hit by an icicle someone threw at him. "But wind is lame." "Oh really?" laughed the old man. "Well, do you know what a tornado is?" Naruto nodded. "What about a hurricane?" Again the boy nodded. "Well, those are really powerful winds. With the right Fūton, a shinobi can blow his opponent away, cut him to shreds, or create a powerful defense. In fact, I have heard that some people in Suna have been able to fly." Now this wasn't exactly true. In Suna, the most anyone has ever been able to do was glide with the use of a fan or make a more controlled fall. However, it's just easier to tell a 5-year-old that they are flying. "Cool," exclaimed Naruto. "Just you wait, I'll be flying in no time." Chuckled the old man. "You're just like your mother." Sarutobi then realized that he had made a mistake. He shouldn't have told the boy about his mother. "You knew my mother?" asked the boy quietly. "Where is she? Did she leave me because I was bad?" Now this is why he didn't want to talk about that. "No, Naruto," said Sarutobi. "We don't know what happened to her. But I know for sure that she didn't choose to leave you. You were all she talked about before she disappeared, and I knew she was excited to be a mother. It wasn't because of you." Naruto looked a little down, so Sarutobi decided to do something special for him. He remembered reading in a magazine that children learn faster when they are younger and that it was better to start them on some things sooner rather than later. "Well, Naruto, how about I give you a couple early lessons since?" "What kind of lessons, Aja-san?" "Just some chakra control lessons," he said. "It is very important and will help you later on. Now, I'll only show you these exercises and these exercises alone besides learning how to read. We can't have people thinking I'm playing favorites. Once you are done with these you will have to learn the rest on your own. Do you have any questions?" "Only one, Aja-san," replied Naruto. "What's chakra?" Sarutobi could tell this was going to be a long day. "Well, there's the opening. Hope you liked it." "Are you sure that you have everything?" asked the Hokage. "Hi, Aja-san," said Naruto as he packed his bag with pencils, scrolls, and ramen for lunch. The day was Naruto's first day at the academy and the boy was very excited. He would finally be able to spend time with other children. The best part was that their parents wouldn't be there to pull them away from him. That was a very happy thought for the young blonde. Since that day Naruto had found the scrolls, he had been training hard. Despite his young age, he had a very large amount of chakra and stamina, so he could train longer than most. Still, Sarutobi started him off with the leaf exercise as an intro to chakra control. It took a while for Naruto to get the hang of it, but after a while he was able to do it with no problem. Then came the tree walking exercise. The old man took the boy out to one of the empty training fields and watched him as he fell and got back up. It took the boy about a month to get the hang of it and then only a week and a half to complete the water walking exercise. Sarutobi was very proud of the boy. Like he had said, the remainder of the time was spent teaching Naruto how to read and write. They would spend about 2 hours on it a day, and then Naruto was sent back to his apartment with exercises to work on by himself. Yet that's not all Naruto was doing. Once he had learned enough, the boy would sneak into the library at night and read what they had. The reason he had to sneak in was because of the old lady who worked there had a ruler and would used it on him the moment he stepped into the building. Luckily for him, she was never a shinobi and no one ever seemed to go near the building at night. So, Naruto was free to read up more on the subject of wind. About a week after he started his nightly visits, he found a scroll that talked about chakra nature and manipulation. Grabbing the scroll and a dictionary, he began to read and look up the words he didn't know. After about an hour and a half of this, Naruto got up and looked for an easier scroll or book. In the end he found Nature Chakra for Bacchus. This one was much easier to follow. As soon as he was finished, Naruto decided to try it out. So the first thing he did was to get one of the special pieces of paper needed to determine chakra affinity after his lesson with the Hokage. While it had cost him half of his allowance, he felt it was worth it. Also, he had found a great ramen stand that didn't overcharge him, the Ichiraku ramen stand. As soon as he found out that he was a wind type, which thrilled him, he set to work on his training. After consulting Nature Chakra for Bacchus, Naruto went to work on the first exercise, which was to cut a leaf with his chakra. This, however, proved to be harder than it sounded to the small boy since he is still working on it. This brings us to today. Well, it seems you have everything, said Sarutobi after checking the bag. Now remember to ask your sensei for the hot water you'll need to boil your noodles. Now you better get going. Hi, cheered Naruto as he raced out the door. Sarutobi just chuckled as he simply vanished from the room so he could also get the academy. When Naruto got to the academy, all the other students were standing next to their parents or an older sibling. A few caught his eye. The first was a boy with red markings on his face who was standing with his mother who had a dog next to her. Keeping the eager to go over there and pet the dog at bay, he looked over at a father and son who were both wearing sunglasses. Then he saw a creepy looking man with black hair and eyes and was dressed in fancy looking clothing that had a fan on the back. Next to him was a boy who looked about the same but a bit more casual in dress. There were only two there who weren't with their family besides himself. The first was a girl with lavender pupil-less eyes and blue hair. She was dressed in a light blue shirt and tan shorts. She seemed a bit nervous, but Naruto didn't know why. Next to her was a woman with long black hair and red eyes in the Chunin uniform. In fact, Naruto remembered seeing her with the Hokage several times in the past. While he didn't know either of them, it was painfully obvious to anyone that they weren't related. The other child was also a girl. She had purple hair and was dressed in a dark brown shirt with light-colored shorts. She seemed to be all alone. After the Hokage's speech, the parents talked to each other for a bit while their kids got to meet each other. Upon seeing Naruto, several parents whispered to their children to stay away from him and did not state why. Others spoke harshly about the fact that he was being allowed in. Can you believe that the Hokage is letting them into the academy? I'm about ready to pull my son out of there because of those two. I know. It's bad enough that they are letting that girl attend classes with the rest of the children. I mean, with her lineage she'll end up like her grandfather. At least her parents had the right idea in taking their own lives. I never did really like them much anyways. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But that demon child is much worse. SHH. You know the law. Naruto stopped listening as they were being called into class. The boy followed the other students into the building and then to their classroom. Once in the room, he took a seat next to the boy with the fan symbol on his shirt. While waiting for his sensei to arrive, he scanned the room and noticed that he couldn't find the purple-haired girl. Before he could do a second search, two Chunins entered the room. Hello everyone, said the one with a scar on his nose in a cheery voice. My name is Yumino Iruka and I'll be your sensei until you graduate. This is my assistant Mizuki. Now let's take roll. One by one he called out names and the students would reply in some way. Then, Mitarashi Onko. For a moment nothing happened. Iruka was about to say something until his Chunin senses picked up on an object heading towards the window. Both he and Mizuki jumped back as a black bowl-shaped mass broke the window and came into the room very quickly. Then, before it hit the wall, kunais came out of its sides and pinned it to the wall. Shortly after it hit the wall, everyone could hear the sounds of a struggle going on inside of it. Iruka walked over and then, when he was close enough, pulled out a kunai of his own and cut lightly into the purple-haired girl that pooped out of the cut and looked a bit dizzy. She quickly got a hold of herself, got up, and picked up a piece of the cloth. She had a horrified look on her face, like she was going to cry. I, Sniff, worked all night on this, she said. It was, Sniff, supposed to explode open so everyone, Sniff, would remember my name. Everyone in the room sweat dropped. Ah, are you Mitarashi Anko by any chance? Asked Iruka. The girl looked up at him with sad puppy dog eyes. Hi, she said. Just go take your seat, said Iruka as an eye twitched. Please Kami, let her be the only troublemaker. Is that too much to ask for? With that, Iruka continued calling out his students' names. When he got to Naruto's, his voice turned cold and hard. Naruto, in turn, tried to answer back as cheerfully as he could, which only caused Iruka to snap at him. The rest of the day seemed to crawl by. Whenever Naruto raised his hand, it was either ignored or he was told to be quiet. The other students saw this and would laugh with only a few exceptions. Later, the class was split between the boys and the girls. The boys were taken outside to do some muscle building exercises, while the girls were started in flower arrangement. When they came back to the classroom, they continued with the normal lessons. When lunch finally came, Naruto walked out with his fellow classmates, with tears falling down his face. The cause of this was a number of things. One of them was the fact that he had hoped that people here would at least try to be nice. But that wasn't the case. As they had walked out, he had tried to talk to the other students, only to be told to go away. In a way, it was worse than before. In the past, he wasn't part of a group. Now that he was and surrounded by people, no one was making him feel welcome like they did with others. The other reason was that half his face was bright red and his clothes were damp. When Naruto had gone to ask for hot water like the Hokage told him to, he had asked the Kunoichi teacher. She, in turn, screamed at him and then threw the hot kettle at him. Now he was wet, his face stung, and he was lonely. He sat alone under a tree with a swing on it and pondered if things could get worse. He was so lost in thought that he missed seeing someone walk up to him. Whatcha do? Naruto looked up and saw the girl called Anko. She was pointing to his reddened skin that was starting to fade. Ah. Were you mean to sensei? She asked. Or did someone else do something? I don't know, replied Naruto quickly. I don't think I did anything to her. She just threw the kettle at me after I asked her for some water. At that, Anko looked a little disappointed. Too bad, she said as she sat next to him. I don't like her that much. She just talks about how her class will help me become a proper lady. And her class is so boring. Flower arrangement is driving me crazy and it's only the first day. Wait, said Naruto, both alarmed and amused. You can get crazier than coming into class by a window. That's kind of scary. Hey, it would have been so cool if it had worked, she said in defense with a light blush. If it had, then everyone would have been all wow and sensei would have been impressed. Naruto smiled and she then decided to change the subject. So why aren't you playing or eating with the rest of them? Why aren't you? Counted Naruto. Grown-ups tell their kids to stay away from me, she said reluctantly as she lowered her head. My grandfather did something really bad that no one wants to talk about. So they say that I'll end up like him since I'm related. Anko then clenched her fists. I don't even look like him. I know how you feel, said Naruto. Anko looked up and gave him a questioning look, so he continued. I don't know why, but people hate me. Wherever I go there is someone ready to hurt me. At least you know why people treat you that way. Then, an idea came to him. He turned to Anko and gave her a foxy grin. Maybe we should do something about it. Meanwhile, in the Hokage's office, Iruka was having a nice chat with the Hokage. And by nice chat I mean Iruka was pissed off that he got stuck with the traitor's granddaughter and the vessel of the creature that killed his parents. So he wasn't a happy camper. How could you do that? Demanded Iruka. To put those two in the same room is just asking for trouble. Don't worry, said Sarutobi as he calmly sipped some tea. I told Shino before he got to the academy not to bring any fleas into the classroom because they might land on Kiba. Iruka began to sweat drop. I'm talking about Uzumaki and Mitarashi, stated Iruka. Can you even imagine what would happen if those two bonded? Actually, I'm hoping that they will, said Sarutobi. What they need is to have a normal childhood, and that includes friends. No one else will let them play with their children, and I certainly can't force them to. Trust me, this is for the best. But that's dangerous, insisted Iruka. With their backgrounds they might end up destroying the village. Sarutobi sighed and gave Iruka a stern look. I'm disappointed in you, he said. I would have hoped that you would have at least gotten to know them before making such harsh decisions. If you want to judge them based on their family tree, I'll tell you a few things. Anko's parents were highly respected until Orochimaru betrayed us all. That's when everyone turned on they, including their so-called friends. Even after Anko was born they continued to torment them until they took their own lives. And Naruto, well, I can't tell you his lineage, but trust me when I say his parents were good people. But none of that really matters. They are their own person and they will choose their own paths. Anko is not Orochimaru, and Naruto isn't the Kyuubi. But Hokage-sama. Learn the difference, interrupted the old man, between children and the monsters they have been forced into association with. If you don't, they will become a self-fulfilling prophecy created by you and the other villagers. Now, I believe you have to get back to class. The lunch break soon ended, and both teachers and students returned to their rooms. When Iruka entered his room, he noticed that Naruto and Anko were now sitting next to each other. They were talking quietly with each other while writing something down on a piece of paper. Iruka just sighed and then called the call to order so he could finish the lessons for the day. For the rest of the day, the only interruptions he got were some giggles from Naruto and Anko as they plotted their revenge. The next day, the Kunoichi teacher woke up as a Haruno. Time passes and the two became good friends. Anko, as it turned out, loved to prank people as much as Naruto did. There were times, however, when her idea of a prank went a little too far. Those were the times that Naruto had to keep her from harming not only herself but others as well. Another thing that they had in common was that they lived alone. Anko lived in the house that her parent had left her, which was nice. So, since they had no one to help them at home, they would train with each other, as well as studying together. Unlike other girls in the class that stood out like Sakura and Ino, Anko was serious about her training. The other girls were only doing it to reenact a fairy tale. Basically, they get kidnapped and their shinobi hero comes to the rescue, and there's a touch of them living happily ever after. Anko, on the other hand, said that she would blast anyone who tried to do that to her with a super cool jutsu. A few months after the first day at the academy, Naruto was in the woods alone. It was getting dark and he was still working on the leaf exercise. So far he had only made a small cut on the leaf, but it was getting bigger slowly. Well, this was an amazing feat for someone who wasn't even a genin. He was still frustrated that he wasn't further along. He was beginning to make a little more progress when he heard something. It was the sounds of twigs breaking and leaves crunching. Someone was coming. A moment later he heard something else, crying. Then Naruto saw her. It was the blue-haired girl that was in his class. She was wearing a dark blue kimono that had a fall leaf pattern on it, and there was evidence that she had fallen several times. Her hair was a mess as it had twigs and other things in it, probably from falling. From her eyes down was soaked in her tears. When she saw Naruto, she took a step back in shock. Sorry, she said through her tears. I didn't think anyone would be here. She then moved to run in the other direction when Naruto suddenly moved over to her and grabbed her hand. She looked back at him and saw a concerned face. It's alright, he said. But, don't you think you should go be with Utausen and Kasen? I'm sure right now they are worried about you. The blue-haired girl suddenly began to cry harder and shook her head. Realizing that he had made things worse, he thought of what to say next. What's wrong? I don't have a Utausen and Kasen anymore, she cried as she fell to the ground on her hands and knees. Beads of sweat began to roll down Naruto's body as he realized that once again he had made things worse. He then began to search his brain for something that might help. The only thing that he got was from some TV show he had seen once. Deciding to try it out, Naruto sat down on the ground and brought her over so she was crying in his lap. He then began to gently rub her back with one hand until she calmed down a bit. All better? He asked. Slowly she lifted her body into a sitting position and, with a light blush, nodded weakly. So, what's your name? Ayu, she started, but stopped herself. Hinata. Nice to meet you, Hinata, said Naruto in an upbeat voice, hoping that it would catch. I'm Uzumaki Naruto. Now, can you please tell me what happened? My cousin went to the hospital because she was having a baby, said Hinata. She left with my T-Tausen, but only he came back. He then pulled me into office as soon as he came back. He didn't say anything to me as he sat down and signed a fancy paper. He then called someone else in, and T told him to have it be brought to the Hokage. When I asked him what was going on, he said that my K-Cousin had died while giving birth. T then he told me to leave B because the paper he had signed legally disowned me from the clan. Now, please remember that Naruto is a 6-year-old. He also lives by himself. The only things he reads are coupons for ramen and training scrolls. So his first thought was a bit understandable. What does legally disowned mean? That thought echoed through his head until his tenant heard it. You baka, said the Kyuubi. Well, he only yelled the baka part. Let me put this in terms you might understand. Her mommy died and now her daddy has decided to throw her on the street like garbage. Is that simply enough for you? While Naruto couldn't hear the Kyuubi, he did somehow manage to figure it out. Don't worry, Hinata, he's just a jerk, said Naruto. How about we go see the Hokage? I'm sure he'll know what to do. Naruto then got up and then held out his hand to help Hinata. Hinata started to reach out to take it, but then she pulled back. Why are you being so nice? She asked. Am I really that pathetic? tears began to reform in her eyes. "No," said Naruto quickly. "I just want to help. It has nothing to do with how strong or weak you are." Then he remembered something that the old man had once told him. Besides, Ajisan says that those who are truly strong know when to ask and accept help. Hinata hesitated for only a moment before taking his hand. While this was going on, Hiashi was sitting with the Hyuga elders as his late wife's will was being read. And finally, read the elder, "I wish that my daughter, Hyuga Hinata, be well taken care of. She is my treasure and I wish for her to be safe and happy." "Is that it?" asked Hiashi. The elder simply nodded. "Then all shall be done except for the last part." At this, the elders began to whisper to each other for a moment. Then, one of them spoke. "Hiashi-sama, surely you know that our laws clearly states that we follow the last wishes of." He was then cut off when Hiashi held up his hand to silence him. "She asked that Hyuga Hinata be well taken care of," he said in an uncaring tone. "However, shortly after my wife's death I disowned the girl. There is no longer a Hyuga Hinata in this clan, so I am no longer bound to that last wish." The council stared at Hiashi, while most of them doing their best to hold back their disgust. It was true that many felt that Hinata was weak, however they also wouldn't dismiss the fact that she was still a little girl and had time still to grow. There was also the issue of their image. To those outside the clan they were seen as a heartless, cold, and yet powerful clan. Hinata seemed to be a breath of fresh air that slightly improved their image with her warm and kind nature. Hiashi, however, felt that their old image was fine and that as long as they were powerful, nothing else mattered. Lastly, what if Hiashi's newborn daughter died due to illness? They would have no one to replace her with. Let's not forget about the moral problems. I mean, to toss out a little girl onto the streets with nothing shortly after her mother died. "Hiashi, can you say I'm going to hell?" "Sure you can." "Hiashi-sama," said one of the elders who shared Hiashi's opinion of Hinata and approved of his actions. "I think that was a wise decision. However, I wasn't made aware of any sealing ceremony." "That's because there wasn't one," said Hiashi. "I doubt that the girl will even be able to last the night. When her body is found, it will be properly disposed of like the rest of the homeless trash in this village." "But what if she doesn't?" asked the same elder. "Or, what if someone finds her and takes her out of the village? She was weak enough to let it happen to her once before, it is not out of the realm of possibilities that it will happen again." "Very well," said Hiashi as he stood up. "I will deal with this myself." "Please hurry," said the elder as Hiashi walked towards the door. "You must get to her before the Hokage signs the document if he hasn't done so already. If he does, we can't touch her." Hiashi found Hinata with ease. After all, he is ranked as a jonin. She was being led down the street by Naruto as they made their way to the Hokage tower. Hiashi calmly walked towards them and decided to handle this in a way that wouldn't call the attention of the Hokage. Meaning, he would have to be nice. "Hinata," said Hiashi once they were close enough. Hinata got loose from Naruto's grip and hid behind him. This disgusted Hiashi, but he did not show it. "I came to apologize. I have called back the document and would like you to return back to the compound." Hinata couldn't believe her ears. Her father was saying he was sorry. That he wanted her to be his daughter again. It was too good to be true for her. "Hi T-Towson," she said as she started to move out from behind Naruto. However, Naruto didn't believe a word. Instinct had kicked in as well as experience. The way he had said all that was not the way he had heard other people talk to their kids. Also, he had been beaten up by people who claimed they wanted to take him in before. Then there was the fact that he was getting a bad feeling from Hiashi. It was the feeling that you get when you know something bad was about to happen. And after the way he found Hinata, there was no way he would let her go back with this guy. So, Naruto moved so Hinata was in back of him again. "And Naruto-san, what are you doing?" asked Hinata. "Move aside boy," said Hiashi. "I have things I must discuss with my daughter." "No way," yelled Naruto. "I'm not letting you hurt her again." Naruto then turned his head to Hinata. "Don't listen to him. He's up to something." "But Naruto-san," began Hinata before she was cut off by Hiashi. "I will give you one chance brat," he said coldly. "Either move or I would use force." He got his answer when Naruto stuck out his tongue at him. So Hiashi quickly grabbed the boy and threw him into a wall. Naruto hit it hard and bounced off of it. The people who had stopped to watch this cheered. "And Naruto-san," cried Hinata as she attempted to move towards the boy. But Hiashi quickly grabbed her arm and held on tightly. So tightly in fact that it hurt her. "Now come along," said Hiashi as they started to move in the direction of the Hyuga complex. Then, all of a sudden, they were surrounded by Anbu. In front of Hiashi and a struggling Hinata was a woman behind a cat mask. She had purple hair and tanned skin. "Hyuga Hiashi," she said, "the Hokage would like to have a word with you, Hinata-san and Uzumaki-san." Hiashi gritted his teeth and nodded as they were led to the old Hokage's office. He was sitting behind his desk with a single document in front of him. The Anbu laid Naruto on a couch in the room and they all vanished except for the woman. "Do you know what this is, Hiashi-sama?" asked the Hokage as he held up a document. By the tone of his voice, he was not in a good mood. "This is the document that you sent earlier today. So, what do you want with Hinata?" "I was just tying up some loose ends," said Hiashi without any remorse. "By that you mean the birdcage seal," said Sarutobi. "Well, I'm afraid that I will not allow that. She is no longer in your clan, and while I can't stop you from doing that to your family members, I will not allow you to do that to a non-clan member." "Then I demand that she never leave the village," said Hiashi. "You are not in any position to be demanding anything," said Sarutobi. "Assault on 2 children in the middle of the day. You're lucky that I don't have you arrested right now. I will take this up with the council and maybe the daimyo. Believe me, Hiashi, I will make sure that you are punished for this." "Hyuga Ajusan," said Naruto weakly as he was waking up. Hiashi turned to glare at the boy as he sat straight up. He hated the boy. He blamed the demon brat for this. If it weren't for the Anbu and the Hokage in the room, he would have killed him right then and there. "Very well," said Hiashi as he turned his attention back to the aged Hokage. "But do know that this isn't the end. Sooner or later we will place that seal on her head and then you can send her on suicide missions for all I care." He then turned to Hinata, who was about ready to cry again, and sneered. Then, he walked out the door and slammed it behind him. Sarutobi, seeing the poor girl in the state she was in, walked over to her, knelt down, and hugged her as she let it all out. "Why, sob, doesn't my Tausen, sob, love me?" she cried. All anyone could do was watch. "I do not know," said Sarutobi softly. "I'm sorry." "Hokage-sama," said the Anbu suddenly. "If you would allow it, I would like it if Hinata lived with me. My fighting style is similar to that of the Hyuga clan, and I'm positive that I would make a better role model than that ass. Come on, what do you say?" She ended this with a thumbs up good guy pose. "Very well, Yoruchi." Hiashi opened his eyes and saw that he was no longer in his room. From the looks and smell of it, he was in some kind of abandoned factory or sewer. There were pipes coming out of ground and out of the walls. The floor was concrete and the walls had steel plates on them. He then realized that he was in some kind of chair. His hands and legs were bound to it by chakra-enhanced steel chains. His head was locked in place by a steel clamp that kept him from moving it. In fact, the only thing he could move was his mouth. Then he saw something move towards him. It was 2 power drills moving towards him at eye level. Literally. Then a voice came on the speakers behind him. "Hello Hyuga Hiashi. I want to play a game. Your whole life you have hurt others with your words. Your harshness has caused people to lose faith in themselves, and because of that they have died on missions or have hurt their team's performances. Others have simply given up hope for themselves, like your former daughter Hinata. Now, you must use your words to save yourself. In front of you are power drills that are set on a timer. When it reaches 0 they will thrust forward and stop just before they penetrate your skull. The only thing that they will take is what your clan prides itself for, your eyes. The only way to stop this is to say something nice about Hinata. But it won't be that easy. Those chains that are binding you will let me know if you are lying. If they tell me that you are, one of the drills will shoot forward automatically. You have 60 seconds. Let the game begin." With that, the drills came to life. "Why should I believe this is real?" screamed Hiashi. "You want me to say something truthful? Fine then. Hinata is and always will be useless trash." Like promised, one of the drills shot forward and impaled his left eye. The head of the Hyuga clan screamed in pain. "TSK, TSK," said the voice. "One more try. Oh, by the way, you have 30 seconds left." Hiashi moaned and cried as his precious seconds passed him by. His brain racked itself to find something nice to say about Hinata. Sadly, only one thing came to mind. "Ah, she's a good dresser," he said. "Sorry Hiashi," said the voice as the other drill headed for his right eye. "Not good enough." Hiashi screamed as his whole world went black. Then he woke up. "No more Saw movie marathons before bed," said a panting Hiashi aloud. Shortly after Hinata moved in with Yoruchi, Naruto decided to go and visit her to make sure that everything was alright. Naruto looked up her address and found out she lived in a penthouse apartment on the other side of the village. "Why am I going with you again?" whined Anko, and she walked behind Naruto. "I should be doing some target practice right now. Or getting back at that team for stealing my dango." "I want you to meet Hinata so you can make another friend," said Naruto with a grin. "Why do I need another friend?" she asked. "Because I'm your only friend," deadpan Naruto. Anko just sheepishly looked away. About 30 minutes later the two of them stepped into a lobby that reminded them of the one from the first Matrix movie. I could just describe it, but I'm lazy. They, of course, got the same treatment here as they did everywhere else. "What are you two doing here?" demanded a security guard as he walked over to them. "We're here to see Uruchi-san and Hinata," said Naruto. "You're right," huffed the guard. "Now get out of here before I call some chunins." "Just let us see her," demanded Unko. "What's the harm in that?" The guard paused and considered this. If they were lying, he could throw them out or simply beat them himself. The worst that could come from this was a complaint from Uruchi-san or a complaint about blood on the floor. However, if they were telling the truth and he kept them from seeing her, the purple-haired woman would make sure he was in a buttload of pain and have no job. Hell, might even get the Hokage involved. "Fine," he said. "But if she has never seen you before, you will get it. Do I make myself clear?" The two just nod. Later. "Who is it?" came a voice from behind the door after the guard knocked on it. It was defiantly Uruchi's. "Ma'am, there are two kids here who are claiming to know you," said the guard. "Is one of them a blonde spiky-haired boy with whisker marks on his face?" she asked. "Yes," said the guard with a downhearted expression on his face. There went his chance to beat some kids. The door opened and Uruchi stepped out. Naked. The guard got a major nosebleed and fainted. Anko looked a little embarrassed, and Naruto just poked the guard while Hinata stepped into the hallway, pressing her fingers together the whole time. "Uruchi-san, please stop doing that," said Hinata. "Who else?" Uruchi, in turn, vanished and reappeared behind Hinata. She then used her fingers to hook Hinata's mouth and stretch it. "I thought I asked you to call me Uruchi-nichan," she said. "Hi," Hinata managed to say. Uruchi then let her go and patted her on the head. "Hey, why did this guy pass out?" asked Naruto. "Because I used the strongest weapon in the shinobi, no, the entire world on him," answered Uruchi as she brought her hand to her hips. "Sex." As she said that, she made the V for victory sign. This was a lesson that Anko and Naruto took to heart and would use in the future. Someday. 1 year later. "Remember to be on your best behavior," said Sarutobi to his companion. "We are meeting the leader of the shinobi of this village, and I don't want anything to happen that would wreck our fragile relationship with this village. Is that understood?" "Hi, Jason," said Naruto. It was, for once, a sunny day in Amagakure, gasp. Sarutobi had decided to take Naruto along with him as a birthday present as it was early in October. They were going to the village to pick up a stolen item and to witness the execution of the man who stole it. The man in question, Rakusho Aoi, had joined up with a rebellious faction in AIM that was being led by a mysterious figure. Hanzo, the leader of the AIM nins, had caught him and decided to return the item. However, Aoi would get a public exaction to serve as an example to others. Hanzo met them at the gate surrounded by his own person bodyguards. He wore a grey bodysuit and had a cape on. His large breathing device covered most of his face and made his black eyes seem more menacing. "Good day to you, Hokage-sama," said Hanzo when he saw the old man in red Kage robes. His eyes then fell on a small boy of about 7 wearing an oversized shirt with blue shorts. In his left hand was a string that was tied to a balloon. "And who is this?" "This is Uzumaki Naruto," said Sarutobi as he patted the small blonde's head. "He is a student at my village's Shinobi Academy. I thought it would be very educational for him to see a different village." "I see," said Hanzo slowly as he looked the boy over. His appearance looked familiar to another shinobi he had seen before. However, his clan name made him think of another group that he had met in Yuzu no Kuni. But then again, it could be just a coincidence, so he let those thoughts go. "I hope you enjoy your stay, Uzumaki-san." "I hope so too, Ajayi-san," replied Naruto to Hanzo. A gasp came from everyone nearby. Did the young blonde know who he was talking to? That man was Sanshou no Hanzo. He was the man who defeated the Sannin and then gave them their name. He was one of the most powerful shinobi on the planet. Imagine everyone's surprise when Hanzo laughed. "That's cute, kid," chuckled Hanzo. "I'm very sorry about this," said Sarutobi quickly. "Don't worry about it," said Hanzo as he waved it off. "I have children of my own and soon I'll be a grandfather, so I'll have to get used to it sooner or later. Besides, he's just a child. What kind of person would I be if I got angry at a child for being a child?" Sarutobi was about to respond when a powerful wind blew and Naruto accidentally let go of his balloon. The balloon slowly rose into the sky as it was a bit old. Sarutobi was about to grab it for the boy when he noticed the look on Hanzo's face. He followed the other man's gaze, which fell on Naruto, who was doing some hand signs. When the boy finished, the wind seemed to rotate around him and he slowly rose off the ground. Kicking his legs in the air as he flew upwards, Naruto was able to get his balloon that was now a foot above Sarutobi, Hanzo, and everyone else's heads. However, as soon as he grabbed it, he fell. Luckily, Naruto was caught by Sarutobi. "Naruto, are you alright?" asked the old Kage as he set the boy down and began to check for injuries. "I'm fine, Ajayi-san," said Naruto. "That was wind chakra," thought Hanzo. "By the looks of it, he hasn't completely mastered it. If I had to guess, he has at least completed a third of the second stage." Hanzo then watched with interest as the Hokage questioned the boy. At first, Naruto was a bit reluctant to tell them about his late nights and all the training he had been doing. But, after being threatened with no ramen for the rest of the trip, Naruto caved. After hearing about his training and how far along he was, Hanzo couldn't help but be amazed. His chakra stores must be very large for his age. The next generation of shinobi will be amazing. Naruto, you should be more careful, scolded the Hokage. What you did was very reckless. You could have been. I hate to interrupted Hanzo, but you are to meet the council of Amagakure. They would like to talk about the execution and several other things. Very well, said Sarutobi. He was about to ask to be led the way when Hanzo held up his hand. Is there something else you need to say? Indeed, said Hanzo as he lowered his hand. The meeting will be long and not doubt dull. Since this is between you and the council, I happen to be free. Allow me to show Uzumaki-san around. In fact, the village genins are having a small tournament that I think the boy would like to see. Taken an interest in him? Asked Sarutobi with a raised eyebrow. Don't worry, I'm not planning on stealing him or trying to get him to betray his village, said Hanzo. I just think that he would learn more about this village with me than he would with you in that council. That was why you brought him here, right? That is correct, said the Hokage. He then let out a sigh. Very well. Good, said Hanzo. Shortly after they parted, Naruto began his tour through Amagakure. Most of the buildings seemed to have pipes coming out of them, which was interesting. After walking for a while, he learned that the village was set up by levels. The upper or higher levels of the buildings held the business and factories. The middle levels had stores and restaurants. The lower levels were mostly residential. While seeing this, Naruto noticed that most of the people in the village were wearing breathing devices that varied in size. Hanzo explained that due to the amount of rain and its consistency, nearly 24/7, that many people have a hard time breathing. In fact, some people have had their lungs filled with water after breathing too hard. The breathing devices were made to prevent this, as well as help the shinobi breath underwater. The next thing that Naruto asked was why Hanzo didn't have to go to the meeting. Wasn't he the leader of the village? Hanzo replied that he wasn't in charge of anything other than the shinobi. Everything else, from trash collection to making treaties, was decided by the council. Hanzo laughed as he told the boy that he was glad because it saved him from a lot of paperwork. Also, it allowed him to go on mission more often than the cages. But aren't you respected like a Hokage? Asked Naruto as they reached the training grounds. Well, first off, I'm not a Kage, said Hanzo. There are only 5 people who are given that title, and they each belong to one of the 5 major countries. I am Kage level, but I don't get to be called a Kage. But that doesn't mean I'm not respected. Naruto blinked in confusion. An officer at title does not equal respect. Well, you can get it if you have them, I guess. I, however, do not believe that in that. I respect one's skill. For example, I once fought against 3 shinobi from your village. During that fight, I saw their skill and they earned my respect. So much so that I spared their lives on the condition that they call themselves the Sannin. So you respect people if they are strong? Asked Naruto. Not all, said Hanzo. There is also the way the person gains their strength. Take Sharingan no Kakashi for example. He is said to have copied at least 1,000 different jutsus. However, the source of his power comes from an eye that he wasn't born with. He steals other people's jutsus and claims them as his own. Tell me, Uzumaki-san, would you be angry if someone spied on you and took something that you worked very long and hard on? Like that jutsu you did when we first met? Of course, said Naruto. Hanzo nodded. The true shinobi wins his battles with his own abilities and his own skills. There's also a difference between a good shinobi and a great one. A good shinobi learns his jutsus while a great one makes his own. Hanzo then looked down at Naruto. And it seems you have the makings to be a great one. A little while later they arrived at the training field where the Genin tournament was being held. In AIM, it was common for the Jonin senseis to brag about their team skills and their abilities as instructors. So, once every couple of mouths, they put their pride and money where their mouths were. Naruto watched in fascination as the AIM nins used taijutsu and a couple basic Fūton moves. Some of the moves that he saw were Kasumi Jiksha no Jutsu and Oboro Bunshin no Jutsu. Good move, son, shouted a man on the other side of the field. Naruto looked over and saw what looked like parents of some of the genin who had come to watch. That and play some bets of their own. Seeing this, Naruto couldn't help but feel a little sad and jealous, which Hanzo noticed. I think I now know why your Hokage brought you here, said Hanzo softly. You don't have a real family, do you? Naruto just shook his head. I see. Well, it is unfortunate, you should not use it as an excuse. I have seen many shinobi from this village grow up to be powerful without a family. Yet, I have seen others who make the excuse that they are weak because they have no family to learn from. Also remember that not having a family gives you an element of surprise. Naruto looked up and stared at the elder shinobi. There are many people who judge others based on their families. Some will say that you are only as skilled as your family. When they look at you they will think that since you have no family you will have no skill. Well, that is rubbish and a Baka's belief. The harder you work, the stronger you become. Almost any problem can be overcome with hard work. Otherwise, you're just giving up and taking the coward's way out. I think I understand, said Naruto as he turned his gaze back on the parents. But still, it would be nice to have someone to cook me dinner and stuff. Yes, well, that's life, said Hanzo, not sugarcoating a thing. The way I see it, you can either whine about it or do something about it. If you lack a real family, make one. All Naruto could do was give a light nod. When the tournament was over, Hanzo realized that it was getting late and that they should be getting back. However, a thought entered his mind. The kid had potential and he was a person who liked to reward people with potential. Usually he just let them live or something like that, but that wouldn't work in this case. No, he had to do something much more. Then, in his mind, it was decided. Hanzo told his guards to take 5 for a moment so he could be alone with Naruto for a moment. This, of course, surprised them since he was never told them he wanted to be alone with someone. But they just shrugged their shoulders and walked away. It was just a kid with him after all. Naruto, I'm going to give you something special, said Hanzo. He then pulled out a scroll and then unsealed a much larger scroll and set it down while opening it up. This is a summoning contract. Once you sign your name in it, you will be able to summon whatever creatures that the contract is with and they will fight with you. I would like you to sign the salamander contract. Really? Cried an excited Naruto. Then he became confused. Why me? Let's just say that I think it will help, said Hanzo. Also, you have skills that have yet to be tapped into. Until you do, the Salamander clan will be able to help you out. They might even train you and show you some jutsus that you can use with them. Now, if you want to sign it you must sign it in blood. Naruto went up to the scroll and did just that. It was a little sloppy compared to the rest, but that didn't matter. When that was over, Hanzo showed Naruto the signs and then told him about the blood that was needed to perform this jutsu. The next day, Sarutobi and Naruto were at the gate saying their goodbyes. Hanzo said goodbye to Naruto and then handed an object to Sarutobi. So what will happen to the Raijin? Asked Hanzo offhandedly. It will be placed back into the vault of my office, said Sarutobi. There will be some new security features added to ensure that this won't happen again. The pity, said Hanzo. A weapon should be used in the battlefield and not some safe. It would be a shame if it was never used again. Yes, agreed the Hokage. However, if I did give it to one of the clans, the others would fight over it and say that I favored one clan more than the others. Then why not give it to a smaller clan or someone who doesn't have one, said Hanzo as he glanced at Naruto for a moment. Then they couldn't do a thing about. Explain, said the Hokage. I know how arrogant some of the major clans in your village are, said Hanzo. If you gave the Raijin to someone without a clan or is trying to build it up, you can say that you have the blade to them to help them along. Also, if any of the other clans fighters steal it, well, it will be obvious, and legal actions will have to take place regardless of their status. And, if they do steal it, it would be like admitting that they consider it a threat, even if it is held by a nobody. I think I get it, said the Hokage as he looked at the Raijin. Well, we better get going. With that, Sarutobi and Naruto turned to leave. Of course Naruto waved for a while. Just before they were out of sight, Hanzo saw Sarutobi giving something to Naruto. The next generation will be very interesting indeed, said Hanzo. It was early in the morning when the two figures appeared on top of the Hokage monument. One of them was a girl no older than 12. She had short purple hair that was tied up in the back, so it looked like it was standing up. She wore a tan trench coat, a black shirt, a yellow skirt, leg guards, and ninja sandals. Her partner had spiky yellow hair that went down to his shoulder, blue eyes, and whisker marks on his face. He had on a white sleeveless shirt, baggy white pants, and ninja sandals. Around his waist was a blue sash that had a pouch tied onto it near his rear. He had wanted to buy something with orange, but Hinata, Anko, and Yuruchi smacked some sense into him. Well, Anko and Yuruchi smacked him, and Hinata, after applying some healing salve to his bruises, explained why he shouldn't. On the ground were several spray cans. This is such a good idea, said Anko as she smiled like a maniac. Too bad that Hinata didn't want to join in on the fun. Come on Anko-chan, said Naruto as he picked up a can. You know Hinata-chan doesn't like this kind of stuff. Anko just huffed at that. She could have kept guard or something like that, said Anko as she looked away. Don't worry about it, said Naruto as he picked up another can and tossed it to her. We just have to do this quickly or else we'll get chased again. Remember last time we got caught? Anko shuddered. It was the worst punishment they had ever had. Detention she could handle. Cleaning up the mess was not so bad. Visiting the people she accidentally injured was iffy at best. But nothing compared to listen to the Hokage drone on for hours about how irresponsible they were and stuff like that. Never again, she said. Naruto nodded at her and then smiled. Now let's show these people what art is, he said. Sadly for them, it took longer than expected. This resulted in Naruto. Anko. Get back here, shouted an angry Chunin as he chased the two across town. No way. Yelled Naruto without looking back. Like hell we will. Yelled Anko. The villagers who saw this stared only for a moment before they carried on with their daily activities. Things like this were very common since the two hell spawns became friends. Now it was like a ritual that would take place at different times. They would cause trouble, get caught and run for it, and then Iruka would catch them. It is amazing what you can get used to over time. Naruto and Anko were able to outrun their pursuers and hide from them effectively. After hiding behind a cloak that looked like a fence, the two Chunin that were tailing them jumped right past. As soon as the coast seemed clear, they came out from under the cloak and began to laugh at them. It was truly funny seeing that they were Chunins who were maybe 10 to 15 years older than them and had been outwitted by two 12-year-olds who weren't even Genins. Sadly, Iruka appeared behind them and their laughter stopped. Naruto. Anko. What are you two doing cutting class? Naruto turned around to see Iruka whose eye was twitching. They both just chuckled nervously before they were tied up and dragged back to the academy. Tomorrow is the graduation exam and you do this? If you have so much free time you should be studying so you don't fail it again. Yelled Iruka at Naruto once they were back in the classroom. The kids laughed at this. Yeah, I was just trying to have a little fun, commented the blonde. Iruka then turned to Anko. The same applies to you young lady, he said as he pointed to her. Do you really think that doing things like this is such a good idea before the day of the final exam? Well, it seemed like a good idea at the time, said Anko with a weak smile. And now? Asked Naruto as he knew what she would say next. It was a great idea, she said with a full-blown grin. Iruka just smacked his face. For that, we are going to have a pop quiz on the henge. Everyone, to the front of the class. Everyone began to complain, but did as they were told. One by one, each of the students began to transform into Iruka. Of course, all the girls were all over Sasuke when he went up. They said he was cool and amazing and all that stuff, and, naturally, he ignored them. When it was Naruto's turn he did his transformation, just not into Iruka. Instead, he turned into a naked girl with pigtails. In surprise and perversion, Iruka fell backwards as a stream of blood gushed out of his nose. How do you like that sensei, laughed Naruto. I call it the Warak no Jutsu. Not stupid made up jutsu, shouted Iruka as he got back up. This is your last chance so don't screw around. Later that day, Iruka was watching Naruto and Anko as they cleaned up their mess. You can't leave until this is all cleaned up, reminded Iruka. Whatever, it's not like I have anyone waiting for me back home, responded Naruto as he continued to brush off the paint. Same here, said Anko as she did the same. Despite how close the two of them were, they never did move in with each other. Somehow they both knew that putting two of the most hated children in the same place at night was asking for a mob to show up and burn down the place while they slept. Then there was their already close relationship. Even though they were close, they had never been on a date. Mainly because Naruto was equally close to Hinata. But due to their closeness, rumors had spread that involved inappropriate activates for people their age. The source of these rumors, Sakura Haruno, was repaid for these calumnies by Anko with a trip to the hospital. Sadly, that did not stop the other students from whispering. Iruka winced when he heard that. Over the years those two had grown on him. He even remembered when he began to doubt that they were all that bad. It happened shortly after Hinata was kicked out of her clan. Neji, her former cousin, was waiting for her after school. He somehow cornered her against the wall and began to beat the living hell out of the poor girl. Before Iruka could stop it, both Naruto and Anko had stepped in. Naruto ran up to the older boy and tackled him onto the ground. Anko went to make sure Hinata was alright before helping Naruto remove some of Elder Hyuga's teeth. After Iruka stepped in and separated them, he asked the two why they helped Hinata. Naruto simply said that Hinata was their friend and Anko nodded while glaring at Neji. Neji was suspended for a week for that and Iruka got an earful from the Hyuga clan. They thought that the punishment was too harsh since he only gave her a black eye and broke her arm. That day had also had an effect of Naruto. Whenever he saw Neji fighting, he could feel the rage that the Hyuga genius felt. It was the same with Sasuke. They both used their anger as fuel, and yet, even though they won almost all of the time, they never seemed happy. So Naruto decided never to go into a fight holding a grudge or anything like that. He would fight for the pure enjoyment of fighting and to protect others like he did with Hinata. That way, win or lose, he would walk away with a grin. Iruka sighed and decided to pull out his trump card. Hey Naruto, when you get down I'll treat you to a bowl of ramen. And Anko, I'm sure they will have some dango for you. Naruto and Anko turned to look at their sensei with a look of hope and love. With the promise of their favorite foods they got to work faster than ever. Later, while Naruto was downing his third bowl of ramen and Anko was enjoying her dango, Haruka decided to ask an important question. "Naruto, why did you fail last year's exam?" he asked. Naruto turned his head and gave the elder nin a questioning look. "I know you have the Bunshin jutsu down pat, but last you messed up on purpose." "Ah," said Naruto as he looked down at his bowl. The truth was he could have passed it all 3 times, thanks to the training he got from the old man. However, the first time he got sidetracked while working on a jutsu and spent the entire night working on it. So when it came time to make a clone he didn't have enough chakra. The second time was because he had summoned the boss salamander and went through the trials. He was so tired the next morning that he couldn't concentrate, even with Kyuubi healing him. He then looked back over at Haruka. "I didn't want to take a chance that would get me on the same team as Neji team." Haruka blinked and Naruto continued. "That bastard's mad at Hiashi for forgetting to put the seal on Hinata, so he takes out his frustrations on her. There is no way in hell that we could ever work as a team. Nothing's worth that, even a year's supply of ramen." "I see," said Haruka. "Hey sensei. What is it, Naruto? Can I try on you hit I8? "Sorry, but you'll have to wait for tomorrow after you pass the exam." Haruka gave Naruto a knowing smile and then sent him on his way with Anko. The next day was the big day. Naruto had arrived early to make sure he was there. When he got into the room he spotted Hinata. She was wearing a tight black outfit like what Yuruchi wore sometimes. However, lately she had been wearing a heavy tan jacket over it. When he had asked why, she blushed and said there was no reason. Since she had been kicked out of the Hyuga clan, people had a change in attitude with her. When she first came as Hyuga Hinata, people were polite and nice to her. Some of the parents told their children to suck up to her so that when she became clan head that she would remember them. It was always good to have the Hyuga clan on your side. Then, when she was kicked out, a lot of people asked if there was anything they could do for her. But that soon changed. Once word got out that she was kicked out for her weakness, slipped out by Neji to the children and Hiashi to the parents, people looked at her like she was a nuisance. Parents stopped telling their children to be nice to her. In the academy, some of the more stuck-up girls would laugh at her behind her back. Pity for them that changed. Over the years, she rose to the spot of number one Ekunoichi of their year, with Anko nipping at her heels. She was just too fast that no one could touch her. Little did they know, she was holding back. "Hey Hinata-chan," said Naruto as he walked over to sit next to her. "Good morning Naruto-kun," said Hinata with a blush. The years of being and training with Yuruchi had gotten rid of her stuttering and had given her confidence in herself. She had also devolved a crush on the blonde shortly after he saved her that day on the street. It was only when she was around him that she was a bit shy. "So are you ready for the test this time?" "Don't worry about me," said Naruto as he gave her his foxy grin that caused her to become a tomato. "I'll be fine." That was when Haruka and Mizuki entered the room. "Okay, today is the Genin exam," said Haruka. "When I call your name, please come into the back room. Let's start with Mitarashi Anko." When he said that, a black ball-shaped object came through the window and then became a banner that said, "Mitarashi Anko Future Genin." "Wow, she pulled it off this time," said Naruto with a laugh. "I was wondering where she was," said Hinata with a deadpan expression on her face. Haruka did his demon head jutsu to yell at Anko before pulling her into the back room. When she emerged she was wearing a hit I8. One by one, Haruka called out names to meet him in the next room to be tested by him and his assistant Mizuki. Soon his name was called. He soon found himself facing his sensei. "Okay Naruto," said Haruka, "all you need to do is make a clone and you pass. Do your best." "Right, Bushin, no jutsu." A large puff of smoke appeared and filled the room. It was so thick that no one saw Mizuki placing a genjutsu on Naruto's clone that made it look half dead. "You fail," shouted Haruka shortly after the smoke cleared. "Hold on," said Mizuki as he tried his best to sound sincere. "He has the concept down and was able to make a clone. I'm sure we could pass him." Naruto looked up at this. His hopes were high. Maybe he would pass after all. Sadly, those thoughts vanished with Haruka's next words. "No, we can't pass him. The other students were able to make at least 3 clones and they were able to walk around. Naruto's clone is useless. I'm sorry, but it wouldn't be fair to the rest of the class." After that, Naruto sat on a swing watching the parents of the other students pick up their children as he sat on a swing. He heard people saw that they were glad he didn't become a shinobi. Anko couldn't be there for him because she was in detention for that stunt earlier, and Hinata had been pulled away by Yuruchi for a moment to give her a surprise. Personally, he didn't mind, he wanted to be alone for a while. He had failed, and they had passed. If he stayed around them it would just be a reminder that they were now genin, and he was still a student. Soon Mizuki came over to Naruto and asked if he wanted to talk. Naruto agreed and followed Mizuki to the top of the Hokage monument. "Don't be too hard on Haruka," said Mizuki. "He just wants to see you do your best." He really cares about up. Naruto said nothing, he just looked down at the ground until Mizuki spoke again. There is another way to pass, but it's a secret. What is it? Asked Naruto. All you have to do is sneak into the Hokage's office, steal the forbidden scroll, and learn one jutsu from it before someone finds you, he explained. Later that night, Naruto snuck into the Hokage's office and grabbed the scroll. While he was making his escape, the Hokage entered the office and saw him. Thinking quickly, Naruto used his Warak no jutsu on the old man, knocking him out cold. After that, Naruto quickly made his way to the place where Mizuki had told him to go to. As soon as he got there, he opened the scroll. Okay, time to learn a jutsu, he said aloud. The first jutsu was Kage Bunshin. It was about an hour later when Iruka showed up. Naruto looked like he was exhausted. Hey Iruka-sensei, looks like you found me, said Naruto with a laugh. Naruto, what are you doing here? I did it, Iruka-sensei, cried Naruto as he ignored the question. Not only did I steal the scroll, I also learned 2 new jutsu from it. It looks like I passed the secret test. What secret test? Asked the dumbfounded teacher. The one Mizuki-sensei told me about. He said all I had to do was steal the forbidden scroll and learn one jutsu, and I could become a genin. Naruto, began Iruka, but stopped when he sensed Mizuki appear on a tree branch above them. I see you found him first, said Mizuki with a smug look on his face. What's going on, sensei? Asked Naruto. Naruto, Mizuki lied to you, said Iruka as he pulled out a kunai. He used you to steal the forbidden scroll for himself. Naruto, said Mizuki with an evil look in his eyes, have you ever wondered why you are hated? Would you like me to tell you? Why? Asked Naruto. Don't, shouted Iruka. It's because you are the Kyuubi no Kitsune, said Mizuki with a look of glee on his face. What? That's impossible, yelled Naruto. Think about, said Mizuki. Why do you think everyone hates you? Your birthday is October 10th, the same day as the day the Kyuubi attacked. And those whisker marks. Think about the names all the villagers call you. Face it, you are the demon fox. Even Iruka hates you because you killed his parents. Naruto fell to his knees. This was too much for him to take in. But it was beginning to make sense. Seeing Naruto in this state, Mizuki flung one of his giant shuriken at Naruto. However, it impacted with Iruka's back. When Naruto looked up, he saw Iruka as he began to cry. Iruka-sensei, why? Asked the demon vessel. Naruto, I'm so sorry. I was the same as you. I know what it feels to be all alone. When my parents died, I became the class clown so people would notice me and my grades slacked. I'm so sorry I never helped you when you really needed it. With that, Iruka fell down. In pure panic, Naruto grabbed the scroll and ran away. Mizuki soon began to chase him, and shortly after that so did Iruka. Iruka saw Naruto jumping from tree to tree with the scroll on his back. Naruto, he called out. Give me the scroll and let's go see the Hokage. Then, all of a sudden, Naruto turned and tackled him. Iruka fell down onto the ground and turned into Mizuki. Naruto jumped down onto the ground and laid it back against a tree. How did you know I wasn't Iruka? Asked Mizuki. Then Naruto turned into the scared Chunin. Because I'm Iruka. I don't see why you're not helping me kill that monster. He killed your parents. You saw the way he looked. That was the look of a monster with no remorse for the lives he has taken. Help me kill him and together we can take the scroll and become powerful. You're right, said Iruka. Monsters do kill without remorse and they do terrible things. In his hiding place, Naruto began to sink into despair. Iruka thought of him as a monster as well. However, he was amazed at what he said next. But that's not what Naruto is. He's nothing like the demon fox. He is a kind and hard-working boy that everyone ignores. He is one of the finest students I have ever taught and will become a great shinobi one day. You're a fool, Iruka. Now die, said Mizuki as he reached to his back to pull out his other shuriken. That's when Naruto's foot impacted his face. Mizuki was thrown back several feet but did not fall down. Thanks for saving me the trouble of looking for you. Naruto ignored him, rushed over to his sensei. I'm sorry, sensei, he said. That's okay, Naruto. How nice, said Mizuki. Now I can kill you both at the same time. As soon as he said that, a powerful wind erupted from Naruto that halted his movements. Branches broke and animals took shelter from its force. Slowly Naruto turned around to stare at the traitor. Normally, I don't go into a fight with a grudger seeking blood. But it's too late for that. I won't let you hurt Iruka-sensei, he said. Iruka was surprised in how Naruto said it. It was calm, as if he knew there was no way he would lose. He then made the ram sign that we all know. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. And with that the field was full of Narutos. Is that all you got? Said Mizuki. While he was acting tough, he truly was starting to sweat. This wasn't good at all. Deciding that his best course of action was to attack first and get them by surprise. He threw his shuriken and destroyed several clones. He got creeped out when Naruto just laughed. "You know, sensei," he said. "I learned one other jutsu. Mizuki then heard a noise behind him and on instinct threw a kunai at the Naruto that was attacking from behind. However, when it hit the clone, it did not go puff. It went boom and Mizuki was thrown by the force. I also learned Bunshin Daibakuha. When Mizuki landed, all of the remaining clones moved to keep him in the perimeter. Naruto then moved over to him quickly and proceeded in punching the man in the gut repeatedly until he could no longer hear the man's bones breaking. Needless to say, when it was done, Iruka was impressed that his student had learned 2 powerful jutsu. "Hey Naruto, close your eyes," said Iruka. Naruto complied, and when he opened them, he noticed the Iruka's hit I-8 was no longer on Iruka's head. It was on his. Naruto began to jump for joy and his happiness was infectious. In his office, the Hokage smiled. He had watched the whole thing through his crystal ball and understood why Naruto did what he did. How could he blame the boy for listening and believing what his sensei told him? But no, he had to make the teams. While he wanted Naruto to be happy, he couldn't put him with both Hinata and Anko. That would cause more rumors and they would doubtlessly spread like wildfire. Also, he believed that Hinata would be better suited on the recon team led by Kurenai. With her speed and bloodline, she would be perfect. Not to mention that the new Jonin practically demanded her to be on her team. He had thought to put Anko in Team 4 but decided that Sakura should be put in that team instead. Then an idea came to mind when he saw the Team 7 slot. The council had made a powerful case that Sasuke be taught by Kakashi. In principle, Sarutobi agreed that that was the best choice. Kakashi was the only person in the village who could teach the boy. Sadly, Kakashi had his flaws. The old Hokage had a long-standing belief that the one-eyed Jonin had been failing his previous teams on purpose so that he could be Sasuke's sensei. Also, he was very lazy and would most likely ignore his other 2 students. When he voiced this to the council, they had insisted that the Uchiha was more important. So Sarutobi was having a hard time deciding who to put in that team. He thought of Sakura first because she didn't seem to care about her training anyways, but she was now out of the picture. He needed 2 people who were already highly skilled above their age group who would need a sensei that could be there when they were over their heads. And there were only 2 that he knew of. On Monday morning, Naruto sat with the others as Iruka went over the list of teams. He heard Sakura whine when she wasn't placed on Sasuke's team. Then Iruka got to Team 7. Team 7 will be Uzumaki Naruto, Mitarashi Anko, and Uchiha Sasuke. Your sensei will be Kakashi Hatake. Team 8 will be Inyazuka Kiba, Aburame Shino, and Hinata. Your sensei will be Yuhi Kurenai. Team 10 will be Yamanaka Ino, Nara Shikamaru, and Akamichi Choji. Your sensei will be Sarutobi Asuma. "Hey, wait a minute," screeched Sakura. "How come Naruto gets to be on the same team as Sasuke-kun when he failed the exam?" There was a group of nods with this statement. "Naruto took a makeup test that was 10 times harder and passed," said Iruka as he set his clipboard down. "Also, these teams were selected by the Hokage himself. If you have a problem with it, you can take it up with him. Now, you may go to lunch now, and when you are done, please wait here for your new senseis to arrive. I wish you all the best of luck." "Why, Kami?" cried Naruto as he ate lunch with Anko and Hinata. "Do you hate me that much? Why do I have to be stuck with Sasuke?" "Hey Naruto-kun," said Anko as she put down her tea and then threw her last dango stick at a tree to create the leaf symbol. "Are you done whining about this? It's starting to get on my nerves." "Well," said Naruto as he brought a hand to his chin. "I was going to start listing the reasons why this is a bad idea. Then I had planned on going over all the injustices that we have gone through in the entirety of our lives. Finally, I would have finished it all by saying that we should be on the same team." "I know how you feel," said Hinata as she put down her bento box. "I thought that the Hokage would put us all on the same team since we work so well together." "I know, Hinata-chan," said Naruto as he slapped his knees. "That's what I've been trying to get at. We work perfectly together. Hinata-chan finds them, I beat them up, and then Anko-chan ties them up and gets any information she can from them." "You know me too well," said Anko with a blush. "But, I guess I can see why we are on these teams. Like Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino are on the same team because their fathers were on the same team and worked well together. I guess he's sticking with what works, so he's doing it with everyone." "I didn't know that about Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino," said an amazed Naruto. "You slept through that lecture," deadpanned Anko. Over on a different part of the academy grounds, a pink-haired girl was crying her eyes out. She had not been placed on the same team as her Sasuke-kun. Not only that, but also when she had asked to eat lunch with him, he just vanished. She felt like Kami hated her. "Really, it's just me." Watching her were Shikamaru, Choji, and Ino. There, said Ino as she patted Sakura's back. "It'll be fine. Who knows, you might like your team." But IW wanted to be on Sasuke-kun's NIF team, wailed Sakura. It's not fair. Ino turned to the other two who were watching this and eating. Would you two help out here? She demanded. It's not like there is anything that we can do, said Choji as he continued to eat some chips. It's the Hokage who set up the teams, not us. Shikamaru sighed. Maybe you'll meet someone else, he suggested weakly. Sakura just cried harder and Ino shot him a dirty look. Troublesome. It's not fair, whined Sakura. How come Naruto Baka gets to be on the same team as Sasuke-kun? Well, maybe it was because of the makeup exam he took, suggested Choji as he tossed his empty bag away and opened a new one. Iruka-sensei said it was much harder. No way, said Ino. He couldn't even make a simple bunshin. I bet he sucked up to the Hokage or something. She paused for a moment and then smiled. Or maybe someone thought that he would make a good punching bag for Sasuke-kun. She laughed at that. Or maybe someone just wants him dead, said Sakura darkly, causing everyone to look at her. My mom's always going on about how they should just kill him, but no one can do to the Hokage. What if someone wanted him to become a shinobi so he could die on a mission? That wouldn't take too long since he is a talentless loser. Shikamaru didn't say anything to this. If he had, it would have fallen on deaf ears. He had seen and heard this kind of attitude before. It was the strongest with the adults, and with the children there was a watered-down version of it. In fact, even Iruka-sensei seemed to hate Naruto on the first day of class. What was most puzzling was that no one would ever give him a clear reason for this behavior. His parents had tried to change the subject when he asked them one time. He wasn't so much of a friend of Naruto's, but no one deserved to be treated the way that he was treated, at least, not without reason. So what was the reason that caused people to hate Naruto at the level that they did? Then he dropped his line of thinking as it was becoming troublesome and leaned back to stare at the clouds. So it looks like we'll be on the same team, said Kiba to Shino. It appears so, said Shino in his usual tone after a moment. It also looks like Hinata will be on our team, continued Kiba. We could have done worse. Sakura and Ino aren't that good when it comes to the physical stuff. And she's not that bad looking. As he said this, a smile came to his face. Shino looked at him when his insects told him of his increased pheromone level. I would strongly advise you from making any attempts to become emotionally involved with her, said Shino as he adjusted his glasses. Dating within the team would cause problems and would most likely lead to our deaths. You must learn to keep your private and professional lives separated completely. Also, Hinata seems to be attached to Uzumaki. Kiba just snorted at that. I'm 10 times better than he is. Right, Akamaru. The little puppy on his head gave a small bark in agreement. I look better, I'm stronger, and I come from a well-known and respected clan. What does he have that I don't? Shino stared at Kiba for a moment and then sighed. He smells better, replied Shino. Later, all of the former academy students went back to their classroom to wait for their senseis. One by one they were called until only one team was left. That team just kept on waiting. And waiting. 2 hours later. Why are we still here? Screamed Anko as she stared at the door. She then spun around to look at Naruto and Sasuke. Sasuke was still in his seat, brooding away. Naruto was lying on his back, staring at the ceiling. Hey, does anyone know anything about our sensei? Sasuke just glared at her for a moment, then went back to his brooding. Naruto sighed and decided to answer. I have, he said. And it wasn't anything good. Apparently, our sensei is well known for stealing other people's jutsu. At that, Sasuke started to show some interest. Other than that, I got nothing. Steals jutsu, said Anko softly as she looked back at the door. Well, maybe he should steal someone else's sense of time. She then marched over to the door and pulled out some supplies from her coat. Due to her back being turned towards the two boys, they couldn't see a thing she was doing. But, based off her killer intent, it would be messy. Another 15 minutes passed before Kakashi finally decided to grace them with his presence. When he reached the room he noticed an eraser being held up by the door. Such a childish thing, he thought as he opened the door. The eraser began to fall and then went poof. In its place was a kunai that was caught by Kakashi with little problem. However, the sizzling sound he now heard from the door had him concerned. It was an exploding note. It was a double trap. The kunai was a distraction to keep my focus away from the note. With that, there was a large boom. Naruto, Sasuke, and Anko covered their eyes as their sensei vanished from sight in a cloud of smoke. Pieces of dirt and wood flew at them and bounced off their skin and clothing. When it stopped they opened their eyes to see Kakashi standing in the same spot he had been without so much as a hair out of place. That was very childish, he said. Well, my first impression of you is, he paused for effect, you're idiots and I hate you. This earned him glares from everyone and he just smiled back at them. Meet me on the roof in 5 minutes. With that he vanished in a cloud of smoke. 5 minutes later they were seated in front of their lazy, one-eyed sensei. Okay, let's start with introductions, said One Eye. Why don't you go first, sensei, suggested Unko. Fine, said Kakashi. My name is Hatake Kakashi. I have likes. I dislike, hobbies, I have a dream. He then tilted his head to avoid a kunai that was thrown by Unko. Okay, Blondie goes first. Alright, said Naruto. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like training, my friends, a good fight, and ramen. I dislike the 3 minutes I hate to wait for my ramen and people who think they are better than other because they belong to a big clan and things like that. My dream is to become Hokage. Hobbies. Pulling pranks. Kakashi nodded and then looked at Unko. My name is Mitarashi Unko. I like dango, sweet bean soup, my friends, and snakes. I dislike people who think I'll turn into my grandfather just because I'm related to him and spicy food. My dream is to become the next head of the Anbu torture and interrogation department. My hobbies are tea ceremonies and pranks that scare the living shit out of people. I still can't believe that you got into that, said Naruto. I can't believe that you like to garden, said Unko with a smirk. Naruto chose that moment to shut up. And last is Sasuke, said Kakashi as he ignored the other two. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I have no likes or dislikes. I don't have a dream, it's more of an ambition. I want to kill a certain man. I thought so, thought Kakashi. So I got the 2 pranksters and an avenger. Well, now that that's out of the way, tomorrow we will be going on our first mission, said Kakashi. Survival training. We did those at the academy, stated an annoyed Unko. She was really beginning to dislike this guy. Her eye began to twitch once Kakashi began to laugh evilly in response. This isn't the kind of survival training that you're used to, he said. This is to see if you become Genin. Hey, shouted Naruto. We already took the exam. Oh, that, said Kakashi offhandedly. That was just to see if you could become Genins. Out of the 27 students that graduated, only 33.3% will actually become Genins. He paused for effect. Alright then, be at training ground 11 at 6 AM sharp. Don't eat breakfast or else you'll puke. He smiled then left. I think I'm going to hate that guy, said Naruto. Anko nodded as Sasuke walked away. The next morning the 3 members of Team 7 made their way to the appointed training ground. Not seeing anyone, they decided to wait. And wait. And wait. Did I mention they waited? 4 hours of waiting later, Kakashi appeared in front of his student as a puff of smoke. Immediately following that he had to dodge another kunai that was thrown by Anko. Sorry I'm late, he said with an eye smile. I got lost on the road of life. The 3 of them had different reactions. Naruto had an eye twitch. Sasuke was glaring at the man. Anko just pulled out another kunai and threw it at him. Only this time it was aimed at his groin. Kakashi vanished and then reappeared near some posts and sent down some boxed lunches. Then he pulled out an alarm clock and set it near the lunches. When he turned to look at his students he saw that Sasuke's eye was twitching, Naruto was gritting his teeth, and Anko was seeing red. What is that? Said Naruto as he pointed at the alarm clock. What we think it is. Kakashi nodded. And you're still late, growled Anko. How the hell did you ever get to be a Jonin? You should know that this test ends for everyone at noon, said Kakashi as he ignored that last question. The 3 of them gasped. Well, they had been waiting for him, all of the other teams were most likely finishing up. Elsewhere. Where is Haruno? Said the Jonin sensei for Team 4. The other 2 just shrugged. Well, I won't tolerate this anymore. When you next see Sakura, tell her she is the reason you 2 were sent back to the academy. As for her, she's being bumped out of the program. Now that I have your attention I will explain the rules. Kakashi pulled out 2 bells. All you have to do is get one of these bells from me before the timer sounds. I think you're missing one, said Naruto. There's only 2. That's right Naruto, said Kakashi. There are only 2 bells. That means that at least one of you will fail. The person who doesn't get the bells will be tied to a post and is forced to watch everyone else eat. Also, that person will be sent back to the academy. As he said this, he was looking at both Naruto and Anko, as if he was trying to guess which one would fail. He then tied the 2 bells onto his side. Now, I want you to come at me with everything you have. Attack me with the intent to kill, if you don't you will never pass. Begin. As soon as he said that, the 3 young shinobi vanished from sight. Over with Iruka and the Hokage, everyone's favorite scar-faced Chunin was looking over Kakashi's history with his Genin teams. However, all he saw were the names of people he had failed and then kicked out of the program. When he reached the last page he realized that Kakashi had never passed a single student in his entire career. Why did you assign Naruto under this man? Demanded Iruka. I taught a lot of people who were sent to him and I know they would have become good shinobi. And look, they were kicked out. I did it because it is the best way for Anko and Naruto to pass, said the old Hokage. I don't get it, said Iruka. How does putting them with Kakashi help them pass? I have long suspected that the council and Kakashi have come to some sort of agreement, said Sarutobi. They want him to be Sasuke's sensei regardless of the consequences. If I am right, Kakashi has been failing his students on purpose so he would be free to be Sasuke's sensei. And since it's an all-pass or all-fail test, he can't just allow Sasuke to be his only student. And if he fails them, the council will be on his ass. They want Sasuke to become a good shinobi as fast as possible so he can revive his clan faster. But if you're wrong then they still might fail, thought Iruka. I have no doubt that Naruto and Anko will work as a team, but Sasuke is a different matter. He has the skills, but he lacks the mentality. He thinks of others as dead weight that will just get in the way. You'd sooner see Orochimaru doing a can dance than Sasuke working with others. Sarutobi stared at the young Chunin. Never put that image in my head again, he said. So Anko-chan, how do you want to do this? Asked Naruto quietly. They were hiding in a tree well staring at Kakashi who hadn't moved in the last half hour. Well, first we need to know how serious he's going to be taking us, said Anko. Most likely, he'll treat us like we're a joke. So if he does then we have the element of surprise. If he does take us seriously then we'll have no choice but to bring out the big guns. Naruto's eyes widened. Not the big guns. Alright then, said Naruto. I'll go first. If he isn't taking us seriously, then while I catch him off guard you can get his bells. Kakashi scanned the area. So far their ability to hide themselves was in the acceptable range. Now he just had to wait for them to come and try to take the bells. After all, why go out looking for them when they had to come to him? I wonder who will try first. As soon as he thought that, Naruto jumped in front of him. Hey, said Naruto. We're going to fight now. You know, compared to the others you're a little weird, deadpanned Kakashi. Naruto shocked him by grinning. I like to do things my own way even if it doesn't make sense, he said. He then began to do some quick stretches. Now let's have a good fight. Very well, said aboard Kakashi. Lesson 1. Taijutsu. He then reached behind his back and pulled out an orange book. In one motion he opened it and began to read. Begin whenever you're ready. What are you doing? Asked an annoyed Naruto. It seems you really did earn your title of being dead last, said Kakashi. What's it look like? I'm reading. Naruto's eye twitched. I know what you're doing, he said. Why are you reading? To see what happens next, replied Kakashi. Naruto sighed. This won't feel right, he said. Don't worry, said Kakashi. Your attacks won't affect me at all. Fine, said Naruto as he charged at Kakashi. He started with a right hook which Kakashi blocked with one hand and without looking away from his book. Naruto tried again with his left, then his right, and then a high jump roundhouse kick. Kakashi blocked them all with ease. Naruto then aimed for the older nin's gut, but Kakashi vanished from sight and appeared crouched on the ground with his hands in the Tora position. Never allow your opponent to get behind you, said Kakashi. Anko and Sasuke tensed in fear. They knew that the Tora sign was needed for Kaiten jutsus. Konohagakure hidden. Taijutsu no Gai. Senengarashi. With that, Naruto went flying into the air while holding his ass. But imagine Kakashi's surprise when Naruto did a backflip in the air and began to hover a dozen or so feet above Kakashi's head. Tai, said Naruto as he rubbed his ass. He then looked at Kakashi and pointed an accusing finger at him. That was a low blow. How would you like it if someone shoved their fingers up your ass? Naruto, how are you doing that? Asked Kakashi as he began to scan for wires. Sasuke was doing the same from his hiding spot. Finding none, he gritted his teeth. That power should be his. With it, he could easily kill Itachi. Oh this, said Naruto. This is just something that I had been working on since I was little. Believe me, when I first got it working, I could only stay up in the air for a minute at most. But now, I can do it all day long. Well, if I had breakfast this morning that would be true. Oh well, no sense bitching about it. Naruto smirked as an idea popped into his head. With great force he shot up and kept on going until he reached the clouds. Shikamaru would do anything for this. He then took a deep breath and then began to fly downward at an incredible speed. Fun fact, the fastest wind speed is 318 miles per hour, and since Naruto can only move as fast as the wind can, Kakashi stared at Naruto as he came down and then pulled up before he hit the tree line. As he did this, Naruto made several clones that fell towards Kakashi. For a moment, Kakashi was confused. What was he thinking? Why weren't his clones flying around? Then he remembered the report from the Mizuki incident. Shit, he said as the clones hit the ground and exploded. When the smoke cleared, nothing was left of the one-eyed Jonin. All that was left was a crater, well that and some wood that lay in pieces. Anko pieced it together first. She quickly began to scan the area for Kakashi. Her eyes widened when she found him. Naruto. Watch out, she yelled as Kakashi jumped out of a tree towards Naruto. Naruto, who looked like he was standing straight up, flung himself backwards to avoid Kakashi's lunge. Missing him, Kakashi fell to the ground. "Well, I will say this," said Kakashi as he got up and looked at Naruto. "Out of all the genin teams I've had, you are the first one to ever take me seriously when I said to try to kill me." Naruto grinned at that. "But don't let that get to your head. In order to get the bells you would have to get in close. Once you get close enough it will be easier to get you." He was right. The closer to the ground the more restricted Naruto became to objects like trees and buildings. "That may be true," said Naruto. "But, I'm not your only opponent." Kakashi wondered if he meant his clones when his senses told him to dodge. He jumped to the left as the long flexible blade of an Urumi, weapon the Cho uses against Kenshin, pierced the air where he once stood. He looked over and saw Anko holding the weapon with a grin on her face. She then pulled her arm back and the blade, like a whip, returned to her. While Kakashi had his eye away from his book to look at Anko, Naruto threw some of his kunai at him. Kakashi moved to avoid them, and Anko lashed out with her weapon again. Kakashi pulled out one of his own kunai to block the attack, but Anko saw this. With a twist of her wrist she was able to change the path of her weapon, but Kakashi still managed to block it. "Time to give up, sensei," said Anko as attacked with her weapon again. This time it seemed to miss him, but swerved to attack him from behind. The weapon struck him, but then Kakashi turned into a log. Kakashi appeared in the middle of the field. "It's getting harder to enjoy my book," he said. "They are using good teamwork." Anko attacking by land while Naruto strikes from the air is a good strategy. But that's not enough. I wonder how good Sasuke is. A sudden change in the wind caused Kakashi to look up at Naruto again to see him doing something strange. He was spinning his arm around until a small twister seemed to cover it. "Hey sensei," said Naruto with a grin. "Let me show you what I created without the help of the academy." The twister then got smaller, beginning halfway between his elbow and wrist to half a foot from his fist. "Meet the jutsu that I perfected 2 years ago. Senpiken." With that, he shot down towards Kakashi, who dodged it. However, he didn't get far enough away due to him misjudging the damage that it would cause. When Naruto struck the earth, Kakashi was blown away by the winds. Kakashi slowly got up a few yards from where he was thrown. That jutsu is like my Harakiri but with wind. He then noticed that Naruto hadn't taken to the sky again. He was panting and beginning to sweat a little. But it seems that he is running low on chakra. Not surprising considering he's been flying, using Bunshin Daibakuha, and now that Senpiken at half strength. I better end this. Time for lesson 2. Genjutsu, said Kakashi. He got up. He then did several hand signs and a few moments later, both Anko and Naruto looked like they were about to nod off. A few seconds after that, they were both asleep. My turn, said Sasuke as he appeared to challenge Kakashi. I'm not like the others. Now it's time to see what the number 1 rookie can do, said Kakashi as he put away his book. As the two began to fight, Sakura was watching them and cheering for Sasuke in her mind. By the look of her, she had been watching him and only him since he got to the training field. She then held her breath when Sasuke touched a bell, but failed to take it. As he got up, he began to make hand signs. That looks like an advanced jutsu, thought Sakura. No one just out of the academy can do something like that. Not another one, thought Kakashi. Pain. Nkakik no jutsu. With that, Sasuke unleashed a large fireball on his sensei. When the attack ended, he saw nothing of the one-eyed Jonin. Then hands grabbed him from the ground and pulled him under while saying, Doten. Shinju's Anshu no jutsu. Soon Sasuke was just ahead. A few minutes later, he heard the sound of the alarm. Time to decide their fates, he said with an eye smile. Hey Hinata-chan, yelled Naruto when he spotted Hinata on the streets. Said girl turned around and saw Naruto and Anko walking towards her. They were both grinning slightly. Naruto-kun. Anko, she said. How did your exam go? We'll tell you over ramen, said Naruto as his grin got a little bigger. Hinata nodded and the three of them headed towards Ichiruka's ramen. Hyuga Hanabi was at that moment walking home. As she walked she would let out a small sigh every few minutes. Her flower arrangement class had bored her to death. Again. It wouldn't have been as bad if she wasn't the only person in the class that was under 15. Hell, she was the youngest person in that class by at least 10 years. Most of the other people in the village waited for their daughters to get into the academy to being stuff like that. But Hyuga Hiashi would never stick her in a public class since she was the clan's heir. The young Hyuga's days followed the same pattern. She would get up early and do some light sparring. Then she would have breakfast before going from one lesson to the next. Then she would go home and eat followed by a half-an-hour break. Then it would be more sparring and then finally sleep. Today she was lucky that the rest of her afternoon classes were cancelled for various reasons. As Hanabi walked she saw other kids her age playing. She envied them. She knew that she had a duty to her clan, something that her father never let her forget, but still she wanted to be part of the crowd. Hanabi wanted someone to confine in when she felt her father was pushing her too hard. She wanted someone to do girl things with. Sadly, her mother had died giving birth to her and she didn't have any brothers or sisters. All she had were her father and cousin. Neji was hard to talk. He only spoke to her when ordered and the stare he gave her was ice cold. Hiashi would never talk about anything other than how her classes were going and how important it was that she succeed. "At least Toussaint is letting me join the academy," said Hanabi to no one. "Maybe then I'll make some friends." It was then that she passed Ichiruka's ramen stand. She had passed by it many times in the past. The scents coming from it always made her stomach growl, but she never went there. Her father had told her that she should never disgrace herself by eating at places commoners ate. As usual, there was the same loud blonde that seemed to be there all the time. With him were two girls. One had purple hair and was wearing a trench coat. She was eating dango while helping the blonde tell a story to the other girl. Hanabi stopped dead in her tracks when she saw the other girl. She had blue hair and had the same lavender eyes as her clan did. But she knew every main branch member of the family and that girl didn't have a birdcage seal on her, or at least she couldn't see from her point of view. So, who was she? The blue-haired girl turned her head slightly and the Hanabi let out a light gasp. That girl resembled the pictures of her mother. Who was this girl? This was something that Hanabi had to find out. So she went across the street and began to spy on them. "So how did you pass?" asked Hinata after they told her about the genjutsu. "Well, he kind of just passed us," said Anko as she took a bite of her dango. Naruto nodded as he slurped his ramen. Flashback. Kakashi had placed all three of the genins in front of the posts. Sasuke began to brush off the dirt on his clothing as Naruto and Anko were released from the genjutsu. "What happened?" asked Naruto as he slowly got up. "You passed," said Kakashi with an eye smile. Sasuke gave him a look of superiority. Naruto and Anko on the other hand looked confused. "Ah, sensei," said Naruto first. "Not that I have a problem or anything about this, but why the hell are you passing us?" finished Anko. "We did get the bells." "That's true," said Kakashi. "But that wasn't the real test. The bells were a distraction so I could see how you all worked as a team." He looked at Anko first. "You seemed more interested in killing me for some reason." Anko let out a low growl as he moved over to Naruto. "You just wanted to fight." Naruto scratched the back of his head as Kakashi then looked at Sasuke. "Sasuke here thinks that the two of you are a burden that would hold him back." Both Anko and Naruto snorted at this. "However, 2 out of the 3 of you managed to work as a team. So I have decided that you all pass. Naruto and Anko may go. Sasuke, I want to talk to you." Then flashback. "Wow," said Hinata as they finished the story. "I'm glad you both passed. But, I wonder what he wanted to talk to Sasuke about." "Hopefully he's telling Sasuke that he isn't the center of the universe," said Anko before drinking some tea. "If chakra was equal to one's ego, that guy would be beyond Kage level." "That's true," said Naruto after finishing his 5th bowl. "It might hurt us later on. Especially when he runs into someone later on that he is no match for. He'll underestimate the guy and then we'll all have to pay." Over with Sasuke, he and Kakashi were doing some light sparring. "Too slow," said Kakashi as he dodged a punch aimed at his gut. Sasuke growled as he jumped into the air and threw 3 kunai at Kakashi. Kakashi I smiled at this attempt and merely pulled out his own kunai to deflect Sasuke's. "It's not over yet," yelled Sasuke when he landed. He then charged at Kakashi and began a series of punches that were all blocked by the Jonin. This continued for another 15 minutes. By that time, Sasuke was drenched in sweat. "Let's end it here," said Kakashi looking fresh as a daisy. "From now on, after we do team training and missions, we will do one-on-one training once everyone else is gone." "Why?" demanded Sasuke. "Do you think that I am that weak?" "Sasuke," said Kakashi calmly. "I know all about your goal to kill Itachi. At this moment you wouldn't last 1 minute against him." Sasuke let out a growl and narrowed his eyes. While Naruto does know some interesting jutsus and Anko has her own impressive skills, they will be no match for you once you active your Sharingan. Once it has been fully awakened, you will be in a position to copy their styles and jutsus for yourself. Sasuke smirked at this. "Is that why you really passed us?" asked Sasuke. "Perhaps," said Kakashi with an eye smile. "I will admit that I am curious to how the Senpuken works." Then Kakashi became serious. "Alright, I want you to get some rest. Tomorrow will be a big day for you. Say, Hinata-chan, would you like us to walk you home?" asked Naruto as they left the ramen stand. Anko gave the blonde a bump on the head. "Baka," she said. "Don't go volunteering me to do stuff." She then gave him another bump on the head. "Besides, she's a big girl. I'm sure she'll be alright." Anko then turned to the former Hyuga and smirked. "Right, Hinata?" When Naruto had first asked her if she wanted to be walked home, Hinata's face turned bright red. However, after what Anko said, it was red for a different reason. Anger. She wanted Naruto to walk home with her. However, after what Anko said, asking him to do that might make her look pathetic. Hinata knew why she was doing this. Anko also had feeling for Naruto. How did she know this? It was simple. Hinata accidentally stumbled upon Anko's pink diary with unicorns on the cover one day while she was at her place. Since then, whenever she got the chance, she would sneak a peek. It turned out that Anko had developed feeling for him about a year ago. Not surprising since they were always together and that they had the same personality. One thing they would agree on was that they didn't want to share the blonde. That's true, said Hinata with a smile of her own. But since Naruto-kun did make the offer, I would be happy to accept. Hinata then went over to Naruto and grabbed one of his arms. She then held onto it tightly while blushing madly. After all, that is what a gentleman does. Right, Naruto-kun? I guess so, said Naruto nervously, having no idea what was really going on. Anko puffed her checks. Fine, said Anko. Let's walk her home. As the three left, Hanabi came out of her hiding place from across the street. Who is she, thought Hanabi. If she were from the branch family, she would have had the seal on her forehead. But she doesn't. Who is this Hinata and why do I feel as if I know her? The training of Team 7 began the next day. Kakashi told them to be at the bridge near the training grounds bright and early and then show up 3 hours later. That was when training began. For Naruto, it was less than impressive. Kakashi told him to sit on top of a post with his legs crossed and placed a book on his head. He was to remain like that until Kakashi told him to stop. When Naruto asked why, Kakashi told him it would help with his balance and patience. Anko received a lesson that was meant to teach her patience as well. Basically, Kakashi dumped a bag of rice on the ground and told Anko to pick it up one piece at a time with chopsticks. One could only imagine their fury when they saw Sasuke's training. It would start out with light sparring where Kakashi would point out flaws in the boy's form. Then he had Sasuke do some strength-enhancing exercises. After that, the team would be given a half-hour lunch break and then some team sparring. However, Kakashi would place restrictions on Naruto and Anko, while Sasuke could go all out. He told the two of them that they had to learn how to deal when their best wasn't available and to better see their flaws. In truth, however, Kakashi felt it would better help Sasuke if they trained this way. From their spars, Kakashi noted that Naruto wasn't as fast without his flying powers. Anko proved to be skilled with or without her weapons. However, it hurt her when she couldn't use a single jutsu and Sasuke could. After that, the team would do missions or, as Anko would call them, chores. Cleaning people's yards, racking yards, finding lost pets, unclogging toilets, they did it all. Yeah, their shinobi skills were really being used. So, time went by. The only one who had any change in their training was Sasuke. Naruto and Anko did the same thing day after day. After a while, Naruto got fed up with this and tried using his Kage Bunshin with a hinge so he and Anko could do something else. However, it did not fool Kakashi, who tied them to posts. So from then on they trained after the team left with whatever daylight was left. As for Sakura, she was kicked out of the shinobi program forever. As her former teammates really wanted to beat her to a bloody pulp, they couldn't. Sakura was now a civilian and they were still shinobi, sort of. If they did, they would be punished and would lose their chance at becoming full genins themselves. Her other old classmates looked down at her with disdain, feeling that she had just wasted their and her time. Ino just shook her head when she saw her and walked away. After the exam, Sakura got a job working in the library. She was placed in the basement where she had to preserve newspapers and clean books. And that's enough of her for now. Later. Well done, Team 7, said the old man after they had returned from bringing back Tora. We have a couple more missions for you. He begins to shift through his papers. We have picking up dog poop, weeding gardens, cleaning my garage, helping old ladies cross the street, and… No. Shouted Naruto. Make that hell no, said Anko. I tired of all these chores, Ajusan, shouted Naruto. Don't you have any real missions? For once I agree with the dope, said Sasuke. I demand a mission that is more challenging and worthy of an Uchiha. Stop acting like children, said Iruka. Team 7 has only been active for about 2 months now, and you three are still too green. Till we feel that you are ready, you will be given simple missions. Come on, Iruka-sensei, pleaded Naruto. No, said Iruka. Any higher level missions are too dangerous for you, and that is that. At that moment the Hokage stepped in. Allow me to explain, said the Hokage. Missions are based on a letter system with A being at the top and D at the bottom. A-ranked missions are for Jonin and Anbu. B-ranked missions are for rookie Jonin and high Chunin. C-ranked missions go to Chunin and experienced Genin. D-ranked missions are for you rookies so that you can work on teamwork. We will get the occasional S-ranked mission, but that's not for you to worry about. But how are you supposed to know when we are ready for something when we don't do anything to prove it? Demanded Anko. We could hunt down that stupid cat for years, and it would show how well we can perform on a higher ranked mission. Isn't there a mission that we can do? Asked Naruto. We're not asking for an assignation mission or anything major, just a chance to prove that we can do something more than what we are doing now. The Hokage took a drag. He hated to admit it, but they had a point. Perhaps it was time for them to see the real world. Very well, said the Hokage. We do happen to have a mission that Team 7 would be able to do. It is a simple escort mission. Cool, said Naruto. What kind of escort are we doing? Asked Anko eagerly. Are we protecting some daimyo? Or maybe a princess? Asked a hopeful Naruto. Easy, laughed the Hokage. I was about to introduce him. You may come in now. Team 7 turned their head to face the door on the other side of the room. Slowly it opened to reveal an old drink man holding a large bottle of sake. What's this? He asked. These are just some super brats. Especially the midget with the super stupid looking face. Naruto laughed. I wonder who he's talking about. A midget with Naruto stopped there when it began to dawn on him. Anko was only 7 inches taller than him, making her the second shortest one on the team. Slowly, wind began to circle around Naruto's feet. If a fight's what you want then fine, said Naruto with gritted teeth. Don't Naruto, said Kakashi as he held on to the back of Naruto's shirt. What's the point of killing the person you were hired to protect? Who said anything about killing, said Naruto. I was just going to beat down. I am the super bridge builder Tazuna, said Tazuna after he took a gulp of sake. I am expecting super protection for you until I get back to my home country and finish the bridge. Alright team, said Kakashi. I want you all packed and ready to leave in 1 hour. Meet at the gate. 1 hour later. The whole of Team 7 showed up on time at the gates. When I say the whole Team 7 I mean Kakashi too. Oh my Kami, cried Anko as she pointed at Kakashi. It has to be a phony. Kakashi just sweat dropped. It's really me, said Kakashi. You're right, said Naruto. You have never been on time since the day we meet you. This is important, said Kakashi. And we aren't. Thought Team 7 as one. Hey, they're acting like a team. Alright, let's go, cheered Anko and Naruto a few minutes later. Tazuna looked a bit worried. Why are you so excited? Asked Tazuna. Well, I have never left the village, said Anko. The only place I have ever been to outside of here is AIM, said Naruto with a large grin. Kakashi raised an eye at that. He didn't know that. But then again, he never read Naruto's file. Are you sure these brats can handle this? Asked Tazuna to Kakashi. Kakashi chuckled a bit. Don't worry, said Kakashi. They may be just a bunch of rookies, but I have been training them very hard. Anko and Naruto turned around to glare at Kakashi. And if things go wrong I will step in and take care of things myself. I am a Jonin after all. I hope so, said Tazuna as he and Team 7 left the village. We're incredible, said Naruto as they walked. Anko-chan is going to be the next head of the Anbu torture and interrogation, and I'm going to be the Hokage someday. Just you wait and see. I'm Uzumaki Naruto, so remember it. Tazuna just took another gulp of his sake. The Hokage is the #1 person in your village, right? He asked. I doubt that someone like you could ever make it to Hokage. Shut up, said Naruto. I'm prepared to do anything to become Hokage. Once I become Hokage then even you will have to respect me. No I won't, said Tazuna. Later. Hey sensei, said Anko after they had been walking for a while. What is it? Asked the lazy Jonin. Are there any shinobi in Nami no Kuni? Asked Anko. No, he responded. If there were then Tazuna-san wouldn't have hired us. There are many different villages. However, only 5 largest countries hold the villages where one can receive the title of Kage. They are the Mist, Leaf, Sand, Rock, and Cloud. Their leaders are the Mizukage, Hokage, Kazukage, Tsuchikage, and Rikage. So will we be facing any shinobi? Asked Anko hopefully. Doubtful, answered Kakashi. That's a pity, said Naruto. I was really hoping to see some action. While Naruto said this, Sasuke and Kakashi noticed Tazuna sweat a little. Shortly after that they passed by a puddle which only Kakashi paid any notice to. After they had walked several feet from it, 2 shinobi from Kiri jumped out of it. They were the demon brothers. Silently and quickly they wrapped their chain around Kakashi, and when everyone turned around they saw Kakashi being shredded. That's 1, said one of them. They then appeared behind Naruto. This makes 2, said the other. With the same quick motions the chain began to wrap around Naruto. It would have done the same to Kakashi had Naruto not shot up several yards in the air. Assholes. He screamed. While their chains were still in the air, Sasuke managed to pin them to a tree using a kunai and a shuriken. Cursing their luck they headed towards Tazuna. Seeing this, Anko grabbed the hilt of her sword that was tied around her waist. However, before they could touch her Kakashi appeared and, just like that, they were stopped. One was caught in a neck hold while the other was being carried under Kakashi's arm. Sorry about that, said Kakashi with a lazy look on his face. Naruto looked over to where he had seen his sensei die. All that remained were pieces of wood. He cursed himself as he slowly fell back to the earth. Naruto, please don't run off when a fight starts. Sasuke, good job. I didn't run away, growled Naruto. I was avoiding being killed and… That's enough Naruto, said Kakashi. He then turned to Tazuna. Tazuna, why did you lie to us? I don't know what you're talking about, said Tazuna. The reason I didn't take this idiots out earlier was because I wanted to see who they were really after, said Kakashi. They were after you. You hired us to protect you from bandits and things like that, but protecting you from shinobi is at least a B-ranked mission. So tell why you lied to us. I guess I might as well tell you, said Tazuna with a sigh. There is an evil businessman named Gato who is after me. Publicly, he owns a shipping company, but that's only a cover. He's a smuggler and drug dealer. He came to Wave a few years ago and took over the country. He controls all the ports and has caused our land to become isolated and impoverished. So why is he after you? Asked Naruto. Because I'm building a bridge, said Tazuna. When it is finished, it will connect our land with the outside world and we will be able to trade freely once again and our economy will recover. So, if you knew this then why didn't you ask for better ninjas? Asked Anko. Too expensive. If I told them all of that, then I couldn't afford you guys. Please, I'll pay you all back once our economy recovers. I don't see why we should, said Kakashi. It's not our problem and since you lied to us that means that the mission is terminated. No way, yelled Naruto. Come on, this is our first real mission and you just want to walk away. No, said Sasuke with a smirk. You would rather fly away. I wasn't flying away team, shouted Naruto. If I hadn't done that I would never have seen. Stop it Naruto, said Kakashi as he rubbed his head. We now have to decide on what to do. Please help us, said Tazuna. But, if you don't my daughter will hate the leaf forever and my super cute grandson will cry. Kakashi's sweat dropped. Fine will help you, said Kakashi with a sigh. Hey Naruto, said Anko as she walked over to him. What were you trying to say earlier? I was going to say I was also looking to see if there were any other shinobi in the area, said Naruto. As I was coming down I thought I saw one running away from here. That would mean they will be regrouping, said Sasuke. You are very right, said Kakashi as he nodded to Sasuke. He then looked at Naruto. Well it looks like your act of cowardness paid off in the end. With that he began to walk away. I really hate him, growled Naruto. Team 7 along with Tazuna traveled for a couple of days until they reached Nami no Kuni. A boat was waiting for them and snuck them in. Once they got to shore, Tazuna told them that they would be staying at his place. As they walked in the forest, Naruto heard a noise in the bushes and threw a kunai at it. A white rabbit jumped out of the bush and ran away. What are you doing dope? Asked Sasuke. I thought I heard something, said Naruto in defense. Interesting, said Kakashi as he rubbed his chin. What's interesting? Asked Tazuna. That rabbit's fur was white, said Kakashi. Rabbit's fur changes white during the winter months, but it's summer. The only other time it changes like that is when it has been kept in captivity for too long. Meaning that, get down. With that, everyone hit the floor as a giant blade flew through the air where they had been standing. It then curved upwards and was caught by a man standing on a tree. He had dark hair, no eyebrows, bandages covering his face, and dark pants. He was shirtless showing the world his muscles. Well, so these are the people who defeated the demon brothers, said the man with amusement in his voice. Lamachi Zabuza, I never thought someone like you would sell out to Gato, said Unko. Kakashi no Sharingan, I am honored that you have heard of me, said Zabuza. My target is only the old man so if you don't want to die then just step away. Sorry but that is not possible, said Kakashi as his hand went to his forehead protector. He then turned his attention to his team. I want you all to get into a defensive formation around Tazuna. Keep him safe and don't get involved with his fight. He then lifted his protector and revealed his Sharingan. Zabuza will be fighting me. Ah, the Sharingan already, I am honored, said Zabuza. Naruto then raised his hand as if he were in class. This may be a bad time, he began. But, what is the Sharingan? The Sharingan is a dojutsu, said Sasuke. It allows the user to see through all genjutsu, taijutsu and ninjutsu and then cancels their effects. But, that's not their only ability. That's correct, said Zabuza. The really scary thing about them is that they can copy any opponent's jutsu. So that's how you were able to copy over 1,000 jutsus, said Naruto. Slowly a fog began to roll into the area. Let's cut this chit-chat, said Zabuza. Hand over the old man. Naruto, Sasuke, and Anko got into a formation to defend Tazuna. Looks like I have to defeat you then. Every well. Zabuza then jumped into the water and said, Ninpu. Kirigakure no jutsu with that, the mist was now everywhere. Be careful, said Kakashi. Zabuza is a master with the silent killing technique. Just like it sounds, he can kill you without making a sound or any other way of sensing him. Most likely, you'll be dead before you realize it. Also, I can't use my Sharingan to its fullest due to the mist. So keep your guard up. He paused so they could absorb this information. But if you fail, you'll only die. No big deal really. What the hell? Growled Anko. 8 points, said Zabuza from all directions. Liver, lungs, spine, collarbone, jugular vein, larynx, kidneys, heart. So many wonderful choices. Kakashi, who was getting tired of this, flared up his chakra to dispel this mist. What a powerful killing intent, thought Sasuke. If I make a single mistake, I'll die. I can't stand this. I'd rather kill myself than take this much longer. Before he could carry out his plan, Kakashi spoke to him. Don't worry Sasuke, he said. I won't let anything happen to you. His eyes then widened when he saw that Zabuza had appeared in the middle of their defenses. Using his speed, Kakashi raced over to them, knocking them down and embedding his kunai into Zabuza's chest. The 3 genins stared at Zabuza as his chest dripped water. Behind you sensei, called out Anko. As Kakashi turned around, the Zabuza he had stabbed turned into a puddle of water as the real Zabuza cut him in half. Zabuza looked very pleased with himself until Kakashi turned to water. A Mizubunshin, said Zabuza in shock. He must have copied it even in the mist. Then he felt a kunai press against his throat. This is the end, said Kakashi. Zabuza just chuckled. Is it? He asked as he turned into a puddle of water and the real one appeared behind Kakashi. I don't think so. With that, the real Zabuza swung his sword in an attempt to cut the real Kakashi in half. Kakashi ducked, but Zabuza used the momentum of his swing and turned it into a kick that sent the real Kakashi into the water. As Kakashi slowly began to climb onto the water's surface, Zabuza made same hand signs and said, Suryo no Jutsu. Kakashi was now trapped in a sphere of water. Shit, said Kakashi in the water prison. Don't worry Kakashi, said Zabuza. I'll finish you off later. First, Mizubunshin no Jutsu. You 3 are just brats, said the water clone as it appeared on dry land. A shinobi is only a shinobi when he has gone through many life and death situations. You're just a bunch of brats playing dress up. Ninpu. Kirigakure no Jutsu, the mist soon returned to the area. I'll tell you this, you will only be a shinobi when your name appears in my bingo book. The Bunshin then raced to attack its first victim. It went right to Naruto with its sword raised high in the air. However, when it got close all of the mist seemed to vanish while it was in mid-swing. The Mizubunshin then noticed the blonde's arm. There was a twister around his arm. Let's have some fun, said Naruto as he moved the Senpiken into a defensive stance. The Mizubunshin's blade hit the side of the Senpiken and there was an explosion. It was small, but enough so that everyone was blinded by the dust that was sent into the air. When it cleared, Naruto was the only one standing. I wondered what would happen if I did that. Looks like I got lucky. What does that mean, dope? Yelled Sasuke. You mean to tell us that you have never used it like this before? Yeah, said Naruto. I mean, I missed all of the other times I came into contact with foreign shinobi to use this jutsu. Smart ass, said Sasuke. I'll tell you this much, said Naruto. I have never used it on a person. What I just did was tilt the air current so when it exploded my enemy took all the damage. He then turned to Anko. Hey Anko-chan, it looks like I'll have to use it now. Geez, said Anko as she scratched the back of her head. Just use it already. Naruto grinned as he reached back into his pouch. What are you all thinking? Yelled Kakashi. You all have to get out of here. Our mission was to protect Izuna. Have you forgotten that? Everyone then looked at Izuna. I'm sorry for doing this to you all, he said. It is because of me that you are in this position. Now, I don't want to die a super bad death or anything, but if you want to fight then fight. And there you have it, said Naruto as he pulled out the Raijin. Hey eyebrowless freak, I'll tell you something. I have been in life and death situations before. People have tried to kill me my whole life. I have been beaten, stabbed, starved, and I have survived it all so I can fulfill my dream. One day I will be Hokage. Do you hear me? Interesting, said Zabuza. Let's see if you can back that up. Naruto's only answer was a smirk as he lifted himself into the air and activated the Raijin. He then shot towards where Kakashi and Zabuza were standing. Zabuza, while shocked that someone could fly, got his sword into a defensive position. Naruto then veered right and began to circle around them, going faster and faster with each pass. Zabuza tried to swing at the white blur, but it was going just too fast. Getting fed up with his, Zabuza threw high Zanbato which hit Naruto. Zabuza smirked until he saw the blonde shinobi vanish in cloud of smoke. Ah, what did my Kage Bunshin ever do to you? Asked Naruto mockingly. Zabuza looked around for the blonde only to find him floating in the air on the other side of the water sphere. I wonder what would happen if I stabbed this thing? Asked Naruto with an insane smile. Kakashi and Zabuza began to shake their heads. Naruto nodded back at them. "And Naruto," stammered Kakashi. "Water conducts electricity. If you stab this thing I'll get shocked." "So will Zabuza unless he releases you," countered Naruto. "And judging by the look in his eyes he knows that." "Why, you're insane," said Zabuza. "Hanging out with Anko-chan does that to ya," said Naruto as he stabbed the water sphere with Eragen. Kakashi and Zabuza immediately felt the electricity and got the shock of their lives. After a moment, Zabuza let go and released Kakashi. "I hate that kid," said Zabuza. Smoke was coming off of his entire body and there was that faint smell of burnt flesh. "What the hell have you been teaching him?" "I never taught him that," groaned Kakashi who was kneeling on the water. Like Zabuza, Kakashi had smoke coming off his body and smelled like burning flesh. "You haven't taught me anything," deadpanned Naruto. "Now, where is my thank you?" "Why the hell should I thank you?" yelled Kakashi as he turned to face Naruto. "I broke you out of that prison," said Naruto. "You could have killed me," yelled Kakashi. "But I didn't," said Naruto with a grin. Kakashi turned back to Zabuza. "When we get back to the village, I'm going to have a talk with the Hokage about this," he said. "As for you Zabuza, the same trick won't work on me twice." "We'll see about that," said Zabuza. They then began to fight once again with Kakashi copying Zabuza's every motion. Naruto flew up into the air in case Kakashi got stuck again. As they fought, Naruto noticed something in the trees. It looked like someone in a mask from Mizu was watching them. Naruto kept an eye on this person until he heard Kakashi say, "Fūton. Daibakufu no jutsu." Naruto then looked down to see Zabuza being blasted by a large blast of water that sent him into a tree. "Can you see the future?" asked Zabuza as Kakashi stood above him. "Hi," said Kakashi as he pulled out his kunai. "And your future is death." It was then that two senbon's needles stuck Zabuza in the neck. After everyone was done with their looks of surprise, Kakashi went over to check out Zabuza. "He's dead." "Thank you for your assistance," said the masked person as he came out of hiding. "I was afraid that I would not be enough to take down the legendary demon of the bloody mist." The person then gave them a bow. "An oinen," said Kakashi. "What's an oinen?" asked Naruto as his feet touched the ground. "They are a group that hunts down traitors that abandon their villages," said Kakashi. "They are to kill them and then dispose of the body so that their village's secrets won't fall into the enemy's hands." "That is correct," said the oinen in a very feminine voice. "Now I must dispose of the body." The oinen then vanished and then appeared next to Zabuza. Carefully, the oinen picked him up and the two vanished. "That was super good work," said Tazuna. "Let me take you back to my home for some super sake and some rest." "Hi," said Kakashi. He then noticed that something was missing. He felt his pockets and noticed that his Icha book was missing. That bastard stole the precious. A moment later, Kakashi fainted due to fatigue and shock. I hope you guys liked the story. If you did, click on any of the videos which are popping on the screen right now. I promise you'll love them too. If you like my videos you can like and subscribe too. I'll see you on another amazing What If video guys. Love you all, peace.